Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to round 4 Suzuka for Octane Online Racing's GT3 Sprint Series. My name is Sam Wise. I'll be on comms this evening with the main man, JP. Say hi, JP.
Hi, JP.
Hi, JP. So we know your lovely voice. And we also have Jesse McLean. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
It's a pleasure as always.
All right, we're back to it. Let's go. Round 4 Suzuka Wednesday. I think it's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
It is Thursday, correct. So yeah, for those unaware, tonight will be Split Blue and Split Red, otherwise known as Split Blood. We're in for a 1 hour sprint race with 1 mandatory pit stops. Tires have to be changed, so that is what we are looking at. At the moment, qualifying is going on, 10 minutes of qualifying, and then we shall start racing.
Well, we're in the middle of a tight battle for a second there.
Yeah, we've already begun the racing and qualifying. Jeez, they're really into it already.
It's just that race to get to the front.
Boo.
Oh, it's also track. You want track position as well, in a way. You want to be the one with that amount of space in front of you. If you're Pat Oliver right now, you're going, yes, I'm in a good spot. I'm like, you know, nothing to except
no.
say that for 130R claims its first victim of the night, Pat Oliver, unfortunately around in qualifying.
GG Wasping wasn't that bad.
Well, that
Man,
was
how
quite
embarrassing. I hope that's
quite
not
a-
on the stream.
an early curse there, Sam was.
Feeling good, ready to set a good lap. There he is, he's out of the pits in the same gap he was in. Nice and quickly. But it's a long lap, so he's cost himself effectively 2 laps worth of Suzuka running with that mistake.
With a 10-minute qualifying, you basically only get 4 hot laps. If you get out early, you get 4 full flying laps. So down to 3. So he's gonna have to make it count.
And given that the tires, you know, take a little longer to heat up than they used to, it's, you know, your first cold flyer is a little worse for wear than it used to be. So it's yeah, double pain when you bin it on the outlap or on your first flyer.
Yep, that's for sure. Especially with the tire physics and on a cooler track, and especially a track like this that there's not a lot of grip. So you want those tires to be in or as near to the window as possible before you start pushing. So yeah, definitely not an ideal situation for Patrick, but he's a fairly experienced campaigner, so I'm sure he'll be able to recover well and still put in a good product performance.
Absolutely. So this is Bab coming through Spoon on his way down the straight, and we'll see our first. I think he'll be our first lapper. Yeah, he'll be the first one to set a valid lap, presumably. Unless he goes wide here, 130R. Can we do a second curse of the night?
No.
No, not
Right on the
successfully.
edge.
Yeah.
Right on the edge.
I think you were too actively trying to curse.
Too enthusiastic about it. Yeah,
It
that's right.
needs to be organic. It's
You need to genuinely want them to do well, and then
Exactly.
see them fail.
So did you hear JC last night? He was willing everyone on last night.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Crosses at 2:01.2, not a bad banker,
Oh.
but Rahmat
Ooh.
says, lol, I shall do a 59.4 banker.
That's
I'm
right. In
sure.
the same car too. Just straight on the first flying lap, 1.7 seconds ahead.
And that lap from Bab, just to put it into perspective, is a bloody good lap. It's not a bad lap at all. It's just there's levels to this thing, as they say, and yeah, Rahmat is on a fairly high level.
So do we think we're going to see a 58 here
Yes.
Very
from
much
Andy?
possible.
I think he's in hot lap. He's done is it a 58.8 or something to that
I
effect?
think he managed a 58.9 or something. It doesn't seem like the Audi is overly strong. It's not bad, but it doesn't seem like it's that strong. The Aston seems very good around here. I mean, Butley did a 58. I think it was a 4 in the hot lap service. So yeah, definitely some crazy pace, not only in the car but also obviously the driver extracted it.
Mr. Andy coming is, yeah, I think you're about to say, coming through 130R is particularly treacherous in the Audi. So he's, I mean, it's Andy, so what can you expect but him to fly through it very cleanly. Now, what's our bet? Is he going to top the timesheets with this lap right now?
No, next lap.
No.
I'm thinking P2.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when he crosses.
We'll see.
Ooh,
There it is.
not much.
Yeah, 2:10s. But Rashmat was also on his first flying lap as well, so the lap times are going to get better, probably from both of them. Unless they push too hard on the first 2 laps, of course, then you can really wear the tires and make the rest of quali a little difficult for yourself.
Just a shout out to Lucas out there in P3, in a BMW M6, you know, so that deserves quite a bit of credit. I know it's still early, not a certified position, but very good banker lap from him. And we go on board with Kitching here, who's been there or thereabouts so far throughout the season, hoping to put in a good first lap here to get in amongst it.
And so while we are riding on board, well not on board, right, while we're riding along with Kitching, I'm going to remind you of where the points sit for Split Blue coming into this week. So Andy O'Hara is ahead. Now this does take into account the drop round, which means your worst round of points is dropped from the overall tally. However, he also has the most total aggregate points as well. So Andy O'Hara is top at the moment. Lucas Burrs is second. And then Rashmat is in third with Oliver Kitching, Lamb and Sanjota behind that. So it's we've got a couple of quick drivers who are quite similarly paced up the top of the field. It's going to be really interesting to see. I think the difference between Rashmat and O'Hara might have been squashed by the differences between the Aston and the Audi for this round. So I get the feeling there's going to be a really strong race between those two.
And Rashmat just dropped to 158.8 as well. So the man is not messing around.
No surprises there, and Andy O'Hara would have to top his hot lap time in order to beat that.
Yeah, I must be honest. I don't see O'Hara out qualifying him today necessarily.
The track is
different.
The track is cooler than it is in hot lap, though. We should know.
Yes, but I mean that counts the same for the Aston as well. So they're both running on a cooler track.
I'm obviously talking about just compared to, because we know Andy's time was 58.9. Sorry, 58.9, I believe it is in hot lap.
Yeah, something like that.
We've said it enough times now. I might as well confirm exactly what it is, and it is 58.93, and Rashmat did do a 58.4. So comparatively, in hot lap, there is 5/10 to Rashmat's advantage.
Oh, that was
Very
quite
spicy.
wide by Oscar Lou there. I'm not sure if that remained valid. I guess we'll see once he crosses the line.
JC says Peach sounds 17% sexier tonight. How do you feel about that, Peach?
I don't feel any particular way about that. I know I can sound 117% sexy, but you know, there we go. Yeah, I apologize in advance if I sound a bit weird or something like that. COVID has kicked my ass this week, so my voice is not normal. As Lou crosses the line, and he obviously did invalidate there, so he's going to get one last shot at not starting last.
Lucas Burrs also not yet with, oh no, I say that, he jumps up to P2. I was going to say he's P2 in the championship, and he has just jumped up ahead of Andy O'Hara, behind Rashmat. What's that? That's going to be a 59.1. That is an incredible time.
O'Hara there improves, but not by enough, still half second down.
Didn't look like he was very happy with that.
No, didn't appear that way. No. So still a couple of guys in with a shout. Matty Lamb, Burrs and Rahmat both still on laps. Then again, Lucas now keeping it in there, P6, staying up. fighting it out with the pros.
That's a very respectable lap, isn't it?
And he has done what is that? That would be, so that's a 59 something.
You are right, Firelord Racing. Andy is not on the front row, and he will not improve, so he will be on the second row, which that's definitely setting up an exciting race. It's not very often that you see that. Ferrari sticking really close to the pit wall just to minimize the amount of track that he has to run down to the line. That is P12 for Benjamin Piper. Gen Z Racing.
Just to point out there, Patrick Oliver in P11, so he has come good after his slightly embarrassing spin on his outlap.
We won't
but
mention
he's
that
done well.
anymore. You know, we won't mention it, Pat. We won't mention that we saw it all. We saw
You mean
on
when he
an
spun
outlap.
on the outlap at 130R? We didn't see that, right?
What was it? He spun where?
I
At
don't know what you're talking
130R.
about.
Oh, on the outlap, he spun.
And then he hit the wall
Patrick,
as well on
are
his outlap.
you saying that Patrick Oliver spun on his outlap?
No, definitely not. No, he definitely did not spin at 130R into the wall on his outlap.
We'll mention this as many times as we can across the broadcast tonight, just to be mean to Pat. All right, and that is the end of qualifying for Split Blue. So Andy O'Hara is not on the front row. He
He's
is P3 for the start of this race.
There's
It's
rain
rain on
in
the
30
horizon.
minutes.
Ooh.
That is going to add a nice little
Ooh.
heap of spice to this race.
What will be especially exciting is if the rain ends, because that will force a second pit stop in a race where there's only one mandatory.
Range between 11 to 30 minutes away.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Because that's right.
Thank you,
It
Mel.
very well. Yep. And we'll see that on the next update.
Yeah, this rain widget in Bathurst, it did my bloody head in. Because you see it, you're like, okay, it's going to rain in about 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes later, it's been raining for 15 minutes. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
That's right. Because just to make it clear for those watching, we know that in 10 minutes it's going to be cloudy. And we know that in 30 minutes it's going to be raining. That does not indicate what happens in between. And so that's why it very well could be raining 11 minutes into this race. And we're just going to have to wait and see how long the rain lasts for, because whatever way you spin it, the rain is coming and it is going to happen in this race.
Now, it'll be interesting to see once it updates whether it's just a quick little light shower or whether it will intensify, because it's going to be a difficult strategic decision, especially in these conditions, how long you want to stay on those fast tires or the slick tires versus putting over to the wets.
Well, I'd say you want to play it safe and you know, do the smart thing, which is to start on the dry tires. But is there any merit to, if hypothetically you knew it was going to rain in 10 minutes, like keep in mind that 11 minutes is from now, and there's still a good, you know, 3 minutes before or 4 minutes potentially before the race starts. You know, they're going to do a slow outlap. So if you knew it was going to rain in 10 minutes, would you go on wet tires to start the race?
No.
Thinking that perhaps your mandatory stop would then be to change your tires to dries later, rather than your mandatory being to change to wets.
No.
If you were towards the back of the pack, would that make a difference?
No, because if it's anything like 3 laps in the dry on the wets, you're just going to absolutely ruin them before it starts raining. So when it then starts raining, you have gash tires that don't work. So yeah, I just think it's not worth the risk, especially if you don't have an exact start time on the rain. Yeah, I don't think it's worth the risk.
Purely if you knew it was going to rain in 10 minutes, that hypothetical. But no, good to hear what the different tactics would be. I don't know if I would choose it, but it's definitely something I would go, ooh, should I?
Probably definitely worth a gamble.
It's possibly, if it paid off, well, I mean, you lose you hypothetically around 5 laps if it was 10 minutes in, and maybe 4 laps because the outlap might count as one. 4 laps on wet tires, and then on the dry track, and then, but also it doesn't become wet optimum straight away. That is an important factor too.
Yeah. Ooh, Piper hits the wall on the
Ooh,
outside.
that is rough because that will count for damage. You cannot hit cars, but you can absolutely hit walls.
Split Blue, just a reminder, outlaps are for warming up tires, getting yourself settled down, making sure everything is set up the way it should be, not crashing. That's what the first lap is for.
Pat Oliver.
These we don't mention that, Jesse.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry. Jesse forgot that we don't mention
sorry.
Pat Oliver's crash on his
yes.
outlap in the qualifying.
That's correct.
Just a reminder, Jesse, don't mention Pat Oliver's crash
On the outlap in
qualifying outlap.
I apologize. I must have been. I was just imagining things probably.
Okay, so right now we still don't know when that rain is coming. I expect that everybody's on dry tires. It would be a heck of a gamble to try anything else. We got wind at 19 kilometers an hour. That's a lot.
It's a fair bit of wind.
So the rain's going to come. The rain's going to come hard. And you know what? That's what we like to see. It's going to make our night more interesting. It's going to make your night more interesting. And that's exactly what we're here for. All right, now, Rushmut's in P1, Burst P2, and then you've got O'Hara and Lamb behind that. Let's place our bets, gentlemen. What do you reckon?
I think O'Hara's going to make contact with Ratchmat in the first corner.
Oh, that is a very specific prediction. So you reckon O'Hara's going to go for some sort of dive, or he's going to try some move on P1?
Yeah,
all right.
Probably not straight away, but definitely on the first lap.
I'm going to say that Eddie's going to be impeccably clean all race, just so we have some even predictions in the commentary. As they're going to come down towards the line. It is a very, very long stretch down to the line here, but that is on the left. That will be Rashmat. On the right, Burst, and then behind Rashmat, that is the Audi of Andy O'Hara. The Audi is a very strong starter there. Off it is green. So you have a look at that Audi just right on the back of Rashmat. Into turn one. So far, everything's looking good. That we are looking right now at the leaders. That looks like Rashmat has just kept himself ahead. Burrs is still in P2. So far, so good behind. Jostling for position. Everybody knows that this is the time that you can play it safe or you can go hard. There is extra risk in going hard on the outlap, colder tires, but there's also a potential reward there if you are brave enough. Oh, a little bit squirrely there. So far, so clean. I'm not going to say it was a clean outlap, but there we go. We are away.
Well, it wasn't a clean outlap. I mean, Viper hit the wall, but in terms of the first lap of the race, so far it's been fairly clean, yeah. There's one car that's a little bit behind the pack. I'm not sure if he started from the pits or had an incident, but apart from that, haven't seen much yellow flags or anything of that kind. Some good clean racing so far throughout.
Hairpin is normally a prime spot for that, so very good so far to avoid any incidents.
Good drift by car, they holds it up. Great stuff.
So far, is this the cleanest we've seen? I don't want to. I'm very much trying to curse something into happening. But what do you reckon, guys? Are we going to see a no incident lap one?
I'm just watching this 130R. I'm just waiting.
Waiting for the yellow dot on the map.
I mean, that's not really fair. You have to say yes or no. So I'm going to say yes. It's going to be clean. That's really fair to say. I'll wait for the place where the accident usually happens, and then I'll tell you whether it's going to be an accident or not. But no, it's been really quite a clean lap. A lot of close little battles here and there, but no real contact or anything like that.
This is Ferguson in the Ferrari on the right. Sorry, JP. Finch on the left, trying to go the long way around turn one. Doesn't quite manage to make it happen. Very, very aggressive on the defense goes the Ferrari, and he's kept the position, so it's clearly worked out well for him. And that was, to our knowledge, a perfect lap one. So congratulations to Split Blue for not crashing.
everybody's praising you guys now. You can have like a massive pile up and still cause a
That's
safety
right.
car.
That's
Just to
right.
rub it in our faces.
No, we've just done the JC curse. It's incoming now.
Pitching's in P6. Sean Haskins asked what happened to him. So he's there. I don't know where. He started somewhere around that position. He wasn't in the top 4, is all I know for sure.
I think there was a moment with the leaderboard where he dropped down the leaderboard. But then
Yes, as everything.
Just a telemetry.
Just Kuno swings.
Yep, as it all catches up. Now we know where everybody is. So far, so good. I really love this Suzuka track at night. I think it looks particularly great.
You know, it looks particularly good. I just absolutely do not like driving this track. It's so slippery. I don't understand why you build a track for racing cars and then you decide, no, we're going to surface it in the slipperiest asphalt we can find. It's just like, okay, well, that makes sense.
It's challenging. Gotta have something interesting. Although Suzuka itself as a track, arguably, is more than interesting enough. In my opinion, I think it's the most difficult track on the calendar for GT cars.
Yeah, I mean, there we go.
Here we go.
That's a Merc facing the wrong way, as well as
a few cars turned around.
It's a Lamborghini cutting across the grass there. So that is Wafik Renata. He was in around P8 or so. So it'll be interesting to see what happened there if we get another look at that. Lucas Dowd making himself proud here in P5, running well. He started in P6 or 7, I think, so he made up a spot or 2.
And we saw Pat Oliver drop down the field quite a bit then as well. So sometime during that last sector, we had a couple of cars, the worst for wear, obviously the Mercedes, spun around at the final turn. Was one of those, but it looks like Pat Oliver was involved in potentially the same incident or something else as well, and has dropped down to P20.
It did look like, ooh, Dowd with another drift. He's embracing the drift culture in Japan, but unfortunately it's not the best for racing. He does stick it up inside in the pin.
Contact, and there is going to be a Bentley trying to capitalize, and unfortunately the Lamborghini is going to get back on. I think that's Kitching, who was trying to move on Dowd. Here we go. We're going to have a look at what happened at the final turn. And so this would be the incident with the Mercedes, and there it goes, spinning around.
Just a rear end. It's not braking, I think, just a bit late on the braking.
And I think that Lamborghini is waiting to give the position back. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen anytime soon. So they're best just pressing on, because the penalty is coming, probably whether you give the position back or not at that point.
So those here all over the tail of Lachlan, so I'm not letting him get away. They have capped O'Hara by over 2 seconds already, which is quite interesting to see.
A very O'Hara thing to do.
Yeah, they're O'Haraing O'Hara. As we see there, a 15-second penalty for 777, which as far as I know is Patrick Oliver, so I'm assuming that is for the hit there.
Man who we were watching then in the replay with the Mercedes in that case. Ooh, looked like the Aston was a little bit sketchy through there, but judging from the gap he's maintaining, perhaps not. This is Van Bar. Is this on Bub now?
Yes, that is Bub now in the event. Bub now, of course, will be joining us for Split Red in the comms box. After sweating, trying to keep Van Bar behind him for another hour.
Now, in 10 minutes, it is going to be what I assume we can call light rain. The rain is going to start in around 10 minutes. Well, at this point, sometime between 0 and 10 minutes. But it's it will start light, start very light, get too light, and we'll see where it goes from there. But it's still saying light rain in 30 minutes, lighter rain in 10 minutes. It's a bit of an incident.
He just, that was all on himself. That was a weird incident. Just
and Piper
back in the wall.
That's really unfortunate for Piper, who Yes, unfortunately dropped down the field due to that one. Nathan Harvey now on Kitching in front.
No, that's not. That's an Aston.
No.
Okay.
Well,
Something
we are
is
definitely
not updated.
looking at the. It is. It is. Yeah.
Kitching
This
and
is
Clark.
Kitching.
Oh, yeah.
Kitching, who was up in P6. Did we see what happened to Kitching? I'm not sure if we did.
Oh, he
He
made
was
contact
in-
with Down.
Yeah, and then he got
Yes,
spun
yes, we did see
by
that.
Lou
Yes.
by the Bentley. Yeah. So
Yep, and that's right. So this is Kitching trying to make his way back through the field.
it is also one of those tracks it's quite tricky to overtake, but you can place a lot of pressure on people here, and it's so easy to make little mistakes here.
Absolutely. Oscar Liu up to P6, by the way, guys, and he's going to be happy with that, considering he was entering the last lap of qualifying, the final possible lap, without a valid time at that point in qualifying. So I'm sure he's happy in the position he's in. He's made up a few positions since the start of the race.
Speaking of him, he just got a 10-second penalty for that collision. He did end up qualifying in P8, so yeah, he's done well so far.
And he's dropped down the field. He's now in P11.
Yeah, I think it was
so was that? I think that was I'm just gonna stop talking, guys.
Just don't mention any drivers, basically. Just talk in general terms.
Yes.
The car is racing with the other car. It's yeah. As we follow the two teammates here, Herbert and Van Vliet, coming into Spoon Corners. Spoon Corner, which is honestly one of my least favorite corners on any track anywhere ever. It's ruined so many good laps.
Yes, it is a very difficult corner, and I think that's part of what I think makes it really exciting, is that it's very difficult to work out, even for experienced racers.
Yep, absolutely. As we go back on board here with Buzz, he is just not letting Rahman get away. I'm thinking O'Hara would like them to start having a bit of a go at each other, so he can maybe get his nose back in this battle. He has closed the gap to under 2 seconds again, but still not really closing the gap.
No, he's not, and also we'll see what the difference is between the Audi and the Aston in the rain come the rain time. It would be interesting to know whether anybody made any setup adjustments to account for the fact that there will be rain.
Yeah, that'll be. I mean, they did have a little bit of wet practice, so they knew this was a possibility. I'm assuming there would have been the experienced guy would have made a little bit of changes here and there.
With Herbert on Van Vliet, so Herbert looking strong. Van Vliet was a little sideways through there, so these two Lamborghinis are in a very good battle at the moment.
And just behind them, Kitching has got past Clark, and he's closing in on this duo, making it a trio of Lambos at the moment. Van Vliet go very defensive into the airpin.
That's right. Herbert really wanted to do a dive down the inside there. He was showing exactly what he wanted to do. Very easy to outbrake yourself there, so good job to pull it up and not make contact between the two Lamborghinis. Very different lines here. Look how sideways that car is. So sketchy on those long left turns. That's the second time we've seen that from Van Vliet. So
rain has started.
Rain
has begun.
Has started. Here it goes, and there is a run from the Lamborghini on the other Lamborghini. Is he going to try it into 130R? He's going to put his nose in, he's going to back off, and that might open himself up to a move from Kitching behind. He's got to be careful there. So he is definitely risky to put yourself on the inside there. Van Vliet played, he called the bluff and he stayed on the racing line. Van Vliet is in the pits. Perhaps he's not happy with the pressures of his tyres where they currently are, but I think it's a bit too early to be coming in for wets, but he is straight in.
Yeah, I mean the track went from optimum to green to greasy within about 5 corners there, so it doesn't appear. I mean, it is light rain, so but it's changing the conditions fairly quickly.
Not much rain. Have a look. We're not seeing full. You know, we're not going to see more rain for a little bit yet. So it's definitely not optimum for wet tires, which is what you would have to go on at this point. But we can see on the chart it is increasing rain in 30 minutes. So at the moment, it very well could be rain for the rest of the race.
That does seem to be the likelihood, but then again, it is very windy, so there is every chance of that prediction changing in the next 10 or 15 minutes anyway. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, whether it'll pay off for Van Vliet, you never know. Oh, as we have contact in the wall.
Was that an Audi?
Yeah, the Audi of Darwin, unfortunately. Now, just so we remember, Van Vliet was in P6, I believe, no, 7 at the time when he went into the pit. So he was racing with Herbert and Kitching. So we will keep an eye on that and see where the Lambo team all work out. And we'll see whether it was the right call to come in earlier or whether it is the better call to come in later. I suspect, unfortunately for Van Vliet, I suspect it's going to be the later call is the better call.
I think the other thing that may just work in his favour ever so slightly is the fact that the track is so cool. Whoa!
Oh, that's it. That is a self-banning Lexus.
Yeah,
that is
Lexus in the wet things, basically. Oh, and a Lambo getting all kinds of scrutiny as well. So it does appear to be really slippery at the moment.
Yeah, the Lamborghini just responding to the Lexus.
It's a sympathy spin.
Yeah, that's right. Just clearly making adjustments, thinking that you might have to take evasive action. Is back on track. But yeah, this we're going to see right now. This is wet racing on cold, very cold, dry tires. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where that changeover point between the dry tires still being fastest and the wet tires becoming the fastest, which will be sooner than if you had dry tires optimized for the wet weather, because they will just be going mega cold right now.
Just watching the splits, O'Hara has actually dropped off about 1.5 seconds since we last seen.
So the rain doing him a bit worse for wear. Not too surprising with the Aston.
I mean, that's looked wide, but no, that's just Ignis, sorry. That's a very bad time to cut over because it looks like a car going off track, but that's just the actual racing line. So yeah, I think the Aston is just a stronger car in the wet than the Audi would be, to be honest.
Unfortunately, it seems like the Aston might just be the stronger car overall, to Andy's disadvantage.
Well, I mean, that is also a thing that's fairly track dependent. So you have your tracks where the Audi shines and where it doesn't, and it just appears to be one of the Aston's strongest tracks. It is fairly strong across the board, but yeah, it's comes and it goes. So you just got to take advantage of the weeks where you have the advantage.
So currently the top of those who have pit, I believe Bab is the front runner of those who have already pit.
Yes.
And so we'll have a look. We'll keep an eye on the times for these drivers and see who is gaining the advantage and who is not.
Dale with a drive-through penalty. I'm assuming maybe from that rejoin earlier.
No, because there wasn't any. That's probably track limits, I think.
Oh.
There's a few spots around this track where it's very easy to get warnings. So specifically the Degners, as they're going through there now, so that would most likely have been a warning formula there. And then obviously the exit of Degner 2 is just as easy. O'Hara in the pits. Who else is in the pits there? Lamb and Herbert, Kitching, Dowd, Ferguson, Mans. So quite a few of the top runners dipping into the pits there. Ferox, no, the Aston Martin did not get any ballast. It was only the Merc that got there for the kilos. So yeah, that's an interesting question. OOR does run a custom ballast, so it's determined on it. As we see, Rachmat there was a little push going through Spoon. That's going to give Buzz a little bit of an invite. Track has officially gone damp, so wet tyres would be the call now. So it'll be interesting to see with O'Hara diving into the pits a bit earlier. He's going to maybe gain a little bit of time on these guys on the lap back. Not sure by how much. But yes, sorry, to get back to the ballast, OOR does run a custom ballast. That's determined on a weekly basis.
That's right, and so it's going to be interesting. I believe that Burrs will probably pit at the same time, which is probably now, so I think that's the smartest call to keep within this battle. You just want to basically do what your competitor does. As he goes quite deep in, and potentially gains a bit of time on Rashmat there. So we're going to follow Andy O'Hara because he was the P3 runner, and P1 and 2 are in the pit. So we're going to see, has there been, over the last couple of laps, an advantage for those on the wet tires or an advantage for those on the dry tires? Because it is wet. It's not that wet. It's only damp. And dry tires are often the better tire still on damp. Granted, that's generally when you optimize your pressures for it, as opposed to what's happened now, which is that they were on tires with pressures for dry racing, so when the wet comes, it just goes completely, they go so cold. This is the final turn for Andy, so we're going to keep an eye on Rashmat and Burrs, who are in the pits right now. Looks like they have exited their pit boxes. It has registered that they've completed their mandatory stop, so I think that they might be on their way out of the pits. They are. Let's see where Andy is. He might be just a little bit too far away. I think they're going to get out ahead, and I think they're going to stay ahead. And this might be quite a similar gap. I think there was about 3.5 seconds to them when Andy pit. I think the gap might be
3.4, yeah.
Pretty similar. So we won't see with that actual gap. It's not 10 seconds once they cross the next timing line. We'll see, but Burrs is ever closer to Rashmat, and this is an opportunity there, and he knows it. They are both on cold, wet tires, and this is definitely an opportunity while the tires are warming up. Take advantage of potentially a tentative Rashmat who doesn't want to push too hard, too soon. Put some pressure on him, either to make a mistake in the wet, or just so that you can potentially find a way through. So I'm very glad this is a battle that's been going for 20 minutes so far, and I hope it's going to go for 40 more.
Timing sheet has updated there on O'Hara within 2.3, so he has just a little bit, but yeah, I don't think it's worked out quite as well as you would have liked.
Yeah, it seems so. It was about the right time, it sounds, for Rashmat and Burrs to go into the pits. Perhaps 1 lap sooner appears to have been a benefit to Andy. So drivers making what appears to be the right calls at the moment. No big shake-ups from what I can see.
No, the only thing that I have noticed, sorry to conclude with it, is Van Vliet, now that everything has settled down, he has lost about 3 positions basically. So that early pit stop doesn't seem to have been the correct call at this stage.
That's right, absolutely. So he's lost, looks like not too much time. Looks like he's only lost about 4 seconds. But he did go in quite early. It had only just started raining when he dove into the pits. But he didn't lose too much time. So he's still in it, and he's running P8, which is still a great position.
It's quite interesting. Sorry, last night especially in House Flat in Split Green, I think there was 8 or 9 pit speeding penalties. It was just crazy how many people were getting drive-throughs for speeding in the pit lane. So there's 2 penalties there for 255 and 513. I think 513 was for an incident, but Zach Malloy does appear to be a pit speeding one as well. It's a tricky pit entry.
Yeah, Rookie A1 also had a few spit landing penalties as well, including myself.
Also a very easy track to get track limit penalties in. So
Oh, yes, 100%, yeah.
I must have been driving the car fast enough because I didn't get any.
it's also in the rain. It's actually easier to not get them because generally you're not going as heavily over those curbs. So I find that it's easier in the rain to avoid getting those track limit penalties for that reason. But we'll still see because there are quite a few spots where it can catch you out. And this is one of them right here. So on the outside there, if you run just a bit too wide, you get a track limit there. Another spot is at the end of the straight, 130R. Very easy just to run a little bit wider than you intended. And get a track limit there as well.
This is going to be an interesting run to Spoon with the BMW M6 power. Ooh, it hits the
very
there.
wide, don't hit the grass.
Ooh, that was very close. There is a little dip on that curve there that just absolutely bounces the car. So best to avoid that if you can. Nice little four-wheel drift there by complete into Spoon.
Looks like
he's been doing that all day. So yeah, the BMW is looking very strong comparatively. And in fact, he's got a run. So is Van Vliet going to hold the inside? He's not. He's going to flick to the outside. So is he going to commit to the corner? No, he's probably going to have to give it here because... Oh, but how are they going to go? On the wet tyres, they have survived. The move is done. And that is down up to P8. That is another position lost, unfortunately, for Van Vliet. Now, this is our front battle. It is still within half a second of each other. O'Hara 2.2 behind, so maintaining that gap, not making significant headway, but also not losing time. So he's still staying within the battle because look behind that, 21 seconds back to Matthew Lamb in P4. So these three are well ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, these guys are in the Pro Plus class, whereas Lamb, Herbert, Bab, and the rest are in the normal Pro class. Yeah.
Pro Alien class you're talking about.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
also works.
Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry. I'll let you go first. Sam?
No, it's a bit of it's a good battle between these guys for the championship as well. So these three are going to be definitely three to look out for. Look out for the battle between these three as the season unfolds, and we'll try not to forget some of the battles for the rest of the pro class as well as we look through that.
So a bit of a shout. So it's going to be a shout out slash maybe a potential curse. Apparently, Mr. Lamb in P4 has done zero practice this week. He's currently sitting in P4.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. He's got some fast drivers on his tail, so we'll see how well the McLaren goes in the rain.
Yeah, imagine how good he would have done if he practiced.
Oh, imagine that.
Maybe it'd only be a 10-second gap.
Practice makes perfect.
So just to point out as well, in terms of the standings in the Pro-Am class, Lucas Dowd is currently leading by a mere 6 points over Patrick Oliver. Nick Van Bar not too far behind them as well. Bob now sitting in 4th at the moment, and he's currently sitting P2 in this race. So yeah, interesting battle for the Pro-Am. Obviously, Oliver having that incident earlier with Brianatas, that has unfortunately put play to his race for the day. But yeah, Dowd looking very strong in that battle for the Pro-Am Championship. And then of course not to forget the AM class, we have Ben Ferguson miles ahead of all his competitors. Sorry, Sam.
Looks like something's shaken up at the front. There's a 1.5 second gap between Burrs and Rushmat right now. And I think Andy is a little bit closer as well to Burrs. So there might have been a little mistake from Burrs on that last lap, which has lost him roughly a second. So he's just a little bit further back than he would like from Rushmat. So not sure what's happened there, but that's certainly not good. And I was about to say, so far, considering they are racing in the rain at Suzuka, so far everybody's been quite good. I will also point out that in 30 minutes, it's currently due to be increasing rain, so I think we can be pretty confident in saying it will rain to the end of the race.
That sounds like a pretty reasonable assumption to make this.
And even if it didn't, it would be wet tyres still till the end of the race.
So will the end of the race be between the boys and the men towards the end of this race? So generally only more tyres. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, the good thing about the wet tyres is they don't wear as quickly.
Oh, true.
So you can do about 2 hours to 2.5 hours on a set generally. I mean, after about 2 hours, it becomes slightly less fun, but they're not too similar to that, I don't think.
Surely it's not like Maserati, the wet fun.
I mean, I think they should bring the safety car out just for the heck of it if it's raining.
Yeah.
Just for the content, basically.
That's right. You did like the 30-minute, like a 30-minute interval, like sprint safety car, and bring everyone back in together. Oh, wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that
No, I think they should just send the safety car out as a race participant, and he can get in the way.
Yeah.
That should spice things up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the blue shell in Mario Kart, really.
I was going to say it's like the beaters in Quidditch. The job is just to knock other people off the track. We just put in 2 GT4s. Their job is just to try and take you out.
No, it's just the bludger. That's what, is it called, the bludger?
Yeah, the bludger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
The beater hits the bludger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh,
nice.
a little bit wide from the Lexus. This is an opportunity for Piper if he can get a good run. Well, it looks like Lexus has got himself steady and got himself a decent run out at the final turn. So there's no big advantage here. In fact, it looks like the Lexus has the advantage down the straight. Look at that acceleration.
I think
in the
he ran
rain.
a little bit wider the Ferrari as well. Maybe trying to preempt something, but not pull off.
I'm not sure if maybe Piper is running in the wet map as well for the Ferrari, which will affect his. I can't really see.
Oh, the Lexus is going to be out of control though.
The Lexus is good down the straight, but it is struggling on these turns. The Ferrari is looking a lot more stable. Look at that back end just sliding as it goes through there.
Yeah, honestly, the Lexus is not a great car in the wet, and especially in these tricky. I mean, the SS is such a tricky rhythm section, and if you just mess up ever so slightly on one of those things, you're just basically ruined for the whole first sector.
A bit of a fun fact for Suzuka. It is the oh great, now I've lost me facts now. I know.
No.
It is the only circuit used by Formula 1 with a figure of 8 layout.
That is quite fun.
Because the first crossover occurs over the Degner curves, and then obviously pass over the point just before 130R.
Another fun fact about that is the radar scares the crap out of you if you're not expecting a car to be behind you when you're going through there.
I found that out the hard way.
Oh, on your right. What? No, there isn't. What are you doing?
There's a great battle here between the Lexus and the Ferrari. Finch and Piper. So he still hasn't been able to make it to get it done in the Ferrari. The Lexus has been looking worse for wear, but the Ferrari not able to take advantage of that, and just look down the straight, he is unpassable in the Lexus.
Oh, Finch went very deep into the chicane there. Not sure if you managed to pull it up for the exit, but yeah.
Looking down the field, so Villanueva, this is Villanueva in the Lambo there, chasing down Frankfurt, Mr. Frank Frankfurt. Darwin with a penalty behind them in the other Audi entry back in 23rd position.
So of course Darwin is the Audi we saw make impact with the wall a little bit earlier. And then obviously got a penalty for some kind of contact somewhere, so yeah, his race went a little bit down the drain at that stage. Ooh, Piper on the inside coming out of the SS here. This is an interesting corner to try and go side by side through. Gets a little
running
switchback.
wide. Ferrari might have got, he's definitely got the switchback happening, but unfortunately makes contact twice with the Lexus, and the Lexus stays on.
Well, so
How did that even happen?
whoa!
Oh, but unfortunately, that was a
Okay.
huge dive from, is that Cardillo?
That was yeah. I think he got a bit spooked by what was happening in front of him and just completely forgot there's a corner there.
I think he did. I think he might have seen potentially an opportunity up ahead with two cars bumping into each other, losing speed down the straight. Might have seen an opportunity and then missed the mark for the braking into Degna 1. So that was really unfortunate for the battle we were watching, Finch and Piper.
Especially when you
See where they
consider
ended
that
up.
the braking mark is 50 meters. So if you miss it, you're in the corner. So yeah, that was a bit of an oopsie there from Cardano. I'm sure he'll be feeling pretty apologetic about that.
He just looked very enthusiastic. He just went, nope, yeah, that's the position I want. I'm going for it. Corners? What corners? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
That's a place on the Olympic diving team in 2024. That's a good one.
Apologies, guys. I was playing doctor for a moment there. What did I miss?
The dive of the century that in death, unfortunately. So
yes.
hopefully we'll get a replay of that, because that's definitely worthy of a replay, I would say.
So Piper is the one who'd benefit most from that. I think it looks like Cardillo is down in 17th position. And where is our Lexus?
Finch is down in P23, so he lost
23.
out by 10 positions there, unfortunately.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there, because there was contact between the Ferrari and the Lexus, but that ultimately was the Lexus was able to correct itself. So it'll be interesting to see what the damage is there for the Ferrari and then of course for the McLaren, who ultimately was the one responsible for why the Lexus is back in 23rd position. So that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure Jordan would have called out the initial contact with Piper there, as they both didn't really lose out much in terms of that. But yeah, definitely Cardeo will be looking at a penalty, I would say. I mean, obviously the stewards, our hard-working steward team, will take a look at that, and they know much better than we do, so I don't want to make a call on that, but I don't think the initial contact was much of more of a racing incident than anything else, really.
So we'll absolutely see what they say, because I think there's definitely a possibility they could see it another way as well, if they look at the whole incident and go, oh, these things led to the incident. So we'll wait and see what happens. So we're looking at in those cases, that's car 26 and 99, the ones we're looking out for. In the meantime, we've got some not a battle, but bunch of cars all within a second of each other, just cruising along, having fun. Car 99.
Penalty for Cardeo, so I think the stewards have taken a view that he was the guy at fault there, unfortunately. So,
and if assuming we don't see something come through for 26 soon, we can absolutely take that opinion of it. Oh, just running almost a little wide there, it looked like, from the Lexus. He did keep it on track.
A quick little shout out to Brianata. I mean, he was the Mercedes that was pointing the wrong way after an incident fairly early in the race. I think it was on lap 3. So he's done a great job fighting back up to P16, and in this battle for roughly P13, basically.
Yeah, he was spun for the Casio Triangle, wasn't he? Yeah, in between 16 and 17, wasn't he?
Oh, that's very well done. Oh, that's painful. Where was that?
Fortunately, very, very painful contact with the wall. Oh, that's Herbert, who has been in a great battle with the Lamborghini friends for the majority of this race, and that is going to have a devastating impact on his race with 22 minutes remaining and presumably quite significant damage there. He's not going to enjoy the final leg of this race, I don't think.
No, it looked like he hit that same little curve that we saw earlier that bounces the car on the not straight down to Spoon. And that is what popped him into the wall. Interesting to see here, Lewis is caught back up to the tail of Rafat, not quite as close as he was before, but looking very interested in maybe making it a fight for the lead in these last 20 minutes. Oh, Rahman goes wide there.
Does, and Andy is actually 6 seconds back. So that so Burrs has clearly put some pace on and caught back up. He was sitting at just under 2 seconds from Rashmat, so he's made up more than a second so far. And seeing the back of that Aston so close is going to spur him on to go even further. So I think we'll definitely see this battle resume for the final 20 minutes. And we'll see just which of them can sustain these tyres the best for the rest of the race.
Yes, definitely. I mean, they're both such fast drivers and such good racecraft. So I think we're in for, this is going to be a battle of inches basically towards the end here. Rahmat there showing the first cracks of after basically 39 minutes of racing. Finally making a small mistake, allowing Burst to catch back up, but these guys have been nearly inch perfect for the whole race so far.
What pressures they set their tyres will start to make a difference now. So if they had done rain practice in these very low track temperature conditions, then they would have a good idea of what the pressures are that they should set for the tyres. But if they didn't, that would be painful. So if we see an advantage from one of the Astons or the other, it's likely a tyre pressure thing, because we know how similar they were in the first leg of the race. There was nothing between them. They pit at the same time, put on the same tyres, but if one of the cars looks a little bit more unstable than the other, we can assume that it's potentially just a difference in their tyre pressures, maybe a difference in their setup as well.
It's quite interesting to note that it's been raining for, well, roughly 20 minutes or so already, and track is only still damp. It hasn't gone wet yet.
Yeah, the rain has been very light for the majority of the race, so yeah.
See here, Lucas now getting interested in the back of Michael Babb. He's looking for a top 5 and just rubbing in that Pro-Am win. So I'm sure Mr. Gorilla is going to give him as much of a battle as he can.
I reckon that would be the widest Aston possible right now, apart from Rashmat up top. You won't make it easy.
No, for sure. The M6 looks very good in the rain, actually. It seemed very good in the rain at Bathurst as well during the 12 hours. So I'm not sure if it is good in the rain or these guys are just fantastic at driving in the rain. Might be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm going to need some tips off them for sure.
As we follow Van Vliet here on the back of Kitching. Kitching obviously still carrying that penalty for his earlier incident with Dowd and them. But he will still be looking to push forward and close the gap and open a gap behind him to also out that penalty. Back on the leaders here, and Burrs is still getting a very good view of the back of that Aston. Rahmat going defensive already, trying to break the third down the straight. Good evening, Regress,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, close enough.
Did you just bark so much?
Yes,
Something like that.
Ooh, great run out of 130R coming into the triangle. He's going to try and stick it around the outside. He is. There's some mighty big kahunas to do that. It's going to compromise his line there.
Oh, it was
great pace there.
Very good run around the outside there from Bab. That was very impressive, because that looked like Dowd might have even had it pinned there.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to go side by side, so they did very well there to not lose too much time and get through safely, but a little bit like so risky to touch that Astro, especially in the wet. But yeah, keeps it safe and going, and the battle continues.
And Vliet has made his way back up. We know that he lost out during the early pit stop by roughly 4 seconds. Well, he made that time back up, and he is fighting with Kitching for position, and I mean, he will get it from this gap anyway, considering Kitching's penalty, but yeah, he has clearly done a great job pulling himself back through the field.
Absolutely. As we still keep following this battle between Dowd and Bad here, Dowd seems to have the better pace at the moment, just hasn't been able to make a move work at the so far. Good evening, Yemen. It's right on into the hairpin, just struggling for traction. You can see the traction control lighting up, not quite able to put it down. Again, we're so close to Russell coming out of the chicane.
This is one of the closest they've been coming down the straight. Is there any toe there at all? Turn 1 is an opportunity for a move. He's definitely taking a look. He wants Rashmat to go defensive in the rain. Flicks back to the outside. Rashmat takes the tight line, which you want to there. It is a long turn, that turn 1. There is an opportunity for a car to, if they're close enough, to dive down the inside of the second part of that corner. So you've got to be aware of that. I think Rashmat is. That's why he took a very tight line. So this is turning out to be quite a battle. And Yohara 7.3 seconds behind in P3.
I'm wondering if he maybe just got his tire pressures a bit wrong or something like that. I know that the Audi isn't going to match the Astons in the wet, but it's unusual to see him lose so much pace.
And the Audi's not bad in the rain. The Audi is a decent car in the rain.
Yeah, but it's not the Aston.
No, it's not the Aston. And it very well might just be the difference between the two cars. Maybe he did set some pressures wrong, but I think these cars up front are just, at the moment, class of their own at Suzuka.
This is one of those tracks where there's a couple in the game like Spa, Barcelona, and this, where the aliens or the really fast drivers just actually really stand out. Where they're just so there's a few where fast guys can get close to the really fast guys, but these tracks, the top guys like your Rahmats and O'Haras and those Akira and them, they just stand out so much more in terms of the actual pace. So I think that's where we're seeing this complete. Matthew Lamb is not usually 30 seconds behind the lead battle, and he's just completely getting outclassed to that. So it's quite good to see just how good these guys are.
Absolutely, and I think the great thing is when you have tracks where, say, the faster drivers are in the less optimum cars, and you've got cars, say, previously at Bathurst in the Honda, and you'd have people who aren't usually at the front of the field suddenly racing at the front of the field, and just creates that extra bit of interest and suddenly a slight disadvantage for some of the faster racers, and a bit of an advantage for those who are a little slower than the top pro guys. And I think we're seeing it here. I think we're seeing Andy O'Hara, who is generally far and away. Last week he was half a second ahead in qualifying than the rest of the field, and now he's 7.2 seconds behind a race. We haven't seen Andy O'Hara 7.2 seconds behind anyone in a race for quite a while. The highest speed wind we've ever seen during sprint. It is currently 21 kilometers an hour.
Because Dowd has just made it past that there.
Dowd has gotten past.
Yep.
We are. Oh, there he is. So that is Dowd in front.
Perhaps still trying to make a battle of it. But yeah, finally Dowd has got the move done. He'll be hoping to put in a couple of clean laps and get a bit of a gap so he can have his own little race.
Burrs here, staying close. I'm sure we'll be following that soon. Looking at Oscar Liu, who made his way up the field and then lost a few positions earlier. Back to P9 at the moment, chasing Van Vliet, who is chasing Kitching. So this is going to be a great three-way battle, I think. It's going to the end of the race. Oh, you don't want to go too tight into Degner. Bentley just looks very comfortable at the moment. Lamborghini looks a lot less so. He's very close here. Is he going to go for a move?
The cameraman may or may not decide to show us what is actually
He's taking
happening.
a nap. He's alright. It's a night race. It's a bit late. It's alright.
Iamon asking, does the
Those
wind
AI
actually
cameramen.
affect driving? It doesn't necessarily affect the driving as such. It can affect certain braking areas. You know, if you have a headwind or a tailwind, you might need to adjust your braking point ever so slightly. But one thing it does have a huge impact in is the weather change and stuff like that as well. And it certainly does have an impact on how the car behaves in certain conditions. Oh, Wayne Darwin getting out of the way in a alternative way there.
It's definitely scary. If you are Rushmart coming up on these back markers, this is not what you want in the final leg of the race, to be trying to navigate. So he's going to have to go up the inside potentially. No, he's going to be off the track. That is the leader who has been, unfortunately, so the Lexus tried to go to the off the racing line, which was the inside, and obviously that's where Rushmart was going as well. But Rushmart is now in P2. Burrs has, as a result of that incident, got himself up into P1, so he is now the leader of the race. That is devastating for Rushmart. Unfortunately, so the Lexus, you know, Rushmart thinks the Lexus is going to stay on the racing line. Obviously, the Lexus is meant to get off the racing line as a blue flag, but Rushmart has gone as if he's intending to go down the inside. But Lexus clearly braked on the off the racing line so that Rushmart could theoretically go around the outside, and that's, you've got to feel for him.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. I mean, it's difficult because the Lexus didn't really do anything wrong. He did what we described they are supposed to do.
Yeah.
But certain people who haven't really dealt with blue flags much in OOR, we use F1 rules where the blue flag cars have to move off the racing line. Certain other leagues that have used that.
So JP, so yeah, he thought that he was intending to shoot down the inside of the Lexus, and unfortunately that just wasn't going to be, because the Lexus did absolutely the right thing and he moved off the racing line, which is on the left side there, and clearly was slowing down so that Rushmart was going to be able to go on the racing line around him. But in the end, that's just ends in tears. It can be really difficult when you come across back markers, especially because you come across a plethora of different drivers who do different things, and you don't necessarily expect them to get off the racing line. I think it's very logical for Rushmart to expect that he'd be diving down the inside of a back marker at that turn. Just unfortunately.
I think part of the problem there was the closing speed may have caught Finch out a little bit, because Rushmart caught up so quickly that Finch was still trying to get out of the way by the time he got there. So, yeah, you know, no ill intentions, just a little unfortunate incident, but it's had quite a big impact on the race.
So we're currently looking at, that's Nathan Harvey and Bub now. Harvey getting a good run. So this is Bub now. Harvey, there he is. So really putting pressure on the back there of Bub now. He doesn't want to go for a move through 130R. Probably smart in the Ferrari. He's having a look down the inside of the final turn. He's not going to make it stick there, but I think he's just trying to make Sean nervous. Sean will be joining us in the booth for Split Red. But for now, we'll see if he can hold off the Ferrari, who gets a bit sketchy through the final turn.
Hamster asking if it was raining. Yes, it was. It still is, but it was also.
We're on board with Burrs, who's currently in the lead of the race.
Look at the gap that he has built already. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
1.6 seconds. He took most of that just off from the pass he was able to do. By the time Rushmart got back on the road and got going, he was roughly that far behind. That is now 1.8 seconds. So if he can keep it clean, Burrs is in a really good position here to win this race. This is Oscar Liu, who's fighting still with Van Vliet. So another great battle. So we've got a couple of good battles down the end of the field. They're waiting until the end of the race. But very wide by Van Vliet, but he's going to get back on. He's going to get a good run down the straight. So not too wide from Van Vliet, but nearly too wide.
I'm surprised, honestly, that he didn't go around there, because that freaking AstroTurf on the exit there of Spoon and in the middle is just so slippery, even in the dry. So well done by him there, just to pull it up and still not really losing time. Oscar Lou.
On the outside, Oscar Lou goes. Is he going to make the move happen that we saw? Yes, he very well might. Oh, the Lamborghini's still going to be... no, just a little squirrely from the Lamborghini getting on the power. So that is a very smart position by Oscar Lou. Around the outside of the final turn, we saw some attempts at that move earlier today. And that did not... and they did not work out for them. Well, Oscar Lou has made it happen. So great work getting up to P8. I don't think this battle is over yet, though.
Yeah, I'm sure Complete is going to look at making the move back against Lou there. But Nathan Harvey is still trying to find a way past Mr. Bob now. But Sean is not making it easy for him. He seems to have gotten a good exit out of the final corner there. Mr. Harvey is going to have to do something a little bit more deceptive to get past him there.
That's right, only 5 minutes left to go on the clock. This is, so far, been quite a clean race, but then again, there's been a couple of interesting incidents, to say the least. Some very close racing, some very good racing is how I would characterize this race, and.
I've been quite impressed with the no one really winning in an R130 or R130R. I've not seen much
so far.
Yeah, so far.
He says that as
I've called that now. 5 minutes to go. That's
Yeah,
right.
you remember what happened in qualifying during the outlap when that Oliver crashed at 1:30.
I heard that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it Pat Oliver? Was it? Oh.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he crashed on on 130R into a wall too. Yeah.
On the outlap.
Yeah, on the outlap.
Not on the hot lap. No, on the outlap.
No, that's right. That's right. Sorry, Pat. Not sorry.
Not sorry. No.
Don't be sorry.
So you can see Burns there has
he'd say the same thing to us.
over 2 seconds to Ahmad now, so I think he had the base over Ahmad basically for the whole race. He just couldn't find that way through. As
very tight battle right now.
Here on Bob now.
Oh no!
No! In a wall!
Oh no!
Couldn't move it in. Ooh. That was very unfortunate.
I didn't curse that. Wasn't me. It was before R130R. Just saying.
That was devastating. That was interesting. It happened well before the turning point for 130R, so I think they're just sort of jostling for track position coming towards 130R potentially when the two cars have made contact. I'm sure we probably haven't seen the last of that. So we're jumping back up to look at Van Vliet, who has not been able to stay on the back of Oscar Lou.
They have gotten past Kitching, yeah? Somehow, I'm not sure if Kitching made a mistake or something, but he was ahead of Lou about a lap ago.
That's right, he does have that penalty, but he may, is it 15 seconds? Yeah, he will not lose another position from where he is now. So ultimately he is still netting the same as he was before.
Although he was running in E4, I think, wasn't he earlier? Somewhere around there.
Pitching was, yes, he was right at the beginning. He was running way at the top. Unfortunately for him, there was an incident earlier as well.
So we're just over 2 minutes, or just under 3 minutes, depending on how you want to look at it, remaining. We have those coming into the hairpin at the moment, so we'll have one more lap after this one.
Two more laps, so this is the penultimate lap now.
Yes, that's why I said one more lap after this one.
After this one, yep.
The field seems to have settled down fairly Well, at the moment, there's no real battles ongoing. Jordan Finch is about the closest one I can see on the back of Zach Benoit for P19. 86, who is Harvey, so that would be for the incident with that now, just now.
No, just now?
Yep. Oh wow, that's for the incident on that now, just now. Holy cow.
Oh, no, we're getting wrong.
I don't know anything else that's going on.
I thought you were going to keep going with it.
All right. So what do we? I think everything's spread out a little bit now. It's like our final battles have filtered out a bit. So right now, the field is looking quite strong to potentially finish this way, unless we see any major incidents. I mean, Jesse, you have cursed someone for 130R. We just haven't seen who yet.
Yeah.
So perhaps it'll happen on this lap.
Well, someone could get adventurous if they get close enough.
Does the hit on bot now count? Because that he technically ended in 130R.
No, it was before it.
Okay, so the curse is for going through 130R, not dying and then landing in 130R. Okay.
We're currently on board with Burst, who is the leader of the race. He has run such a strong race. Rushmart, who is phenomenally fast. In hot lap, he has a 58.4 against his name, which is an incredibly fast lap here. Burst was able to stay with him all through that first stint. He was able to stay close, stay with him when they went through the pits. He was able to catch back up after he lost ground, which was a mammoth effort. And then obviously in an unfortunate event at the hairpin, he was able to get past when Rushmart had an unfortunate incident with a back marker. But Burst definitely deserving to be up in the top position. He has raced a very, very good race today. And we are coming through Spoon for the last time. On board with Burst at the moment. And he will lead us to the end of the race. So there is 2.5 seconds behind him to Rushmart. So not only was he able to get past, he was actually able to pull a bit of a gap on him as well. As we look at Rushmart here as well, who is in P2. I'm sure he will not be happy with what's happened, but P2 still a very strong position. Andy, 7.5 seconds back in P3. As we look at Burst coming onto the final straight, and it is Lucas Burst who comes home in P1 for Split Blue at Suzuka, round 4. And it is going to be Rushmart in P2, Andy O'Hara coming by to wrap up the podium in P3 for the end of the race.
O'Hara 7.777 seconds off. That is a very unusual sight.
And then the next race due to finish with starting at P4, Lamb is going to come across the line ahead of Dowd, who made that fantastic move on Michael Babb. And then, so I think we're on board now with Herbert is crossing the line first. Yeah, these are back markers. So everyone from P14 down was lapped by our leaders. So Lamb has crossed the line.
Burst giving us a show.
We're doing a bit of celebratory.
Dowd comes home in P5.
Yeah, you can't go to Japan and not drift for sure.
Dowd did that fantastic move. And that is Bab home in P6. Oscar Lou is going to come home in P7 after that great move around the outside of Van Vliet. It looks like Kitchen got himself ahead of Van Vliet by the end though. So there might have been a bit of an incident for Van Vliet. Unfortunately, he's gonna take that position back because of the 15-second penalty. But I wonder what happened there between the Lamborghini pals.
Maybe they're no longer friends. Who knows? Charles Clark rounding out the top 10. Benjamin Piper, after hitting the wall on the outlap, is in P11, and Nathan Harvey In P12, he does have a 15-second penalty that will drop him down at least one position. I'm not sure how many more.
Always impressive when you see a pro-am sitting amongst the field of pro drivers, sorry. So you can see all the pro drivers, all the am drivers are there on the left, and you've just got Lucas Dowd right in the middle of the pro drivers.
Just another shout out again for Wafik Renata. We did call him out earlier when he was in P16. He did finish in P12 at the end with the penalties, so great recovery by him there.
So who's the driver of the day then? Of the night, sorry.
Well, honestly, but I don't think I personally can't look past Renata. I love a good recovery drive. I've done a fair few of them. And he's done bloody well from facing the wrong way 2 or 3 laps into a race to coming back, finishing still P12. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go with Renata for myself.
So looking at the final standings, it is Burst from Rushmat from O'Hara as the top 3 for the pro class. Lamb Dowd, Bab falling in behind there. We go across to the Pro-Am. Dowd is in P1 for the Pro-Am. Prinyata, who, as you just mentioned, got himself up to P12, also finishes second in Pro-Am class. And that... Do we have an AM drivers for the field? No, that is... No, we do, yep. Ferguson from Matthews, from Lawson for AM class. Great running today from Split Blue. And very soon we will jump over and catch a look at Split Red. But they will still be in free practice. We've probably got about 6 minutes or so before they jump over to qualifying.
Can we get a replay of the send of the century? Is it possible, Race Director?
The send of all sends?
Would have to be in the save replay, I guess, because it's already picked over. But I really want to get a different view of that because it looked in the moment it looked absolutely just like he completely forgot his braking. So
we have gone over to Split Red, so you do not get your wish, Mr. JP.
Oh no.
That's fine. I didn't rub the lamp hard enough, apparently.
Oh.
So yeah, while we're waiting for things to sort of get, we can look at the current standings of Split Red, where we have Justin Cruz, Stefano Ricciuti, and Corey Sweet leading the pros. Justin Cruz quite a few points ahead, Stefano Ricciuti and Corey Sweet on exactly the same points. And then Samuelson and John Sonicus in P5. Sonicus not racing today. And then for the Pro-Ams, we have Alex Valentini, who I'm sure will get a pro pick later in the season based on his pace and results. Shady Samuel and Fahad Gafour. And for the AMs, we have Kevin Peterson, Chris Booker, and Peter Joseph. So, yeah, fairly tight battle at the top of the field for these guys. There's not a lot in it. Corey Sweet currently has the most net points, or the most gross points, but because of the drop round, he's currently sitting in P2, or tied for P2 with Stefano Ricciuti.
Who is our man to watch for this race? You reckon?
I mean, I can't look past Justin Cruz here. The Porsche is very strong here. Justin Cruz makes that thing go very fast. Yeah, I can't really see anybody challenging him. I honestly don't want to discount the rest of the field, but I feel like this is a race for second. Ooh, great drift there by Chalmers.
That was beautiful.
That was good. Fortunately, his score would have lulled as he went off the track, but yeah, well held.
Yeah, you must have known we were here. Do it for the fans.
This is free practice, and it is free practice on a fast track. And if the weather of the race is anything like the weather in practice, then there could be some rain. So, what time is practice usually? Only a few hours before qualifying. So, on this day, there is rain.
But it's usually on a different day. This is usually on the day before qualifying.
But it does say in 30 minutes rain is inbound.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Wonder if the radar's picking that up.
What do we reckon, chat? Are we having rain for split red? Will split blood be bathed in the moisture from the gods before they decide to slaughter each other into turn one? As we are joined by Mr. Pit Maneuver, Sean Budnow. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I don't think that's my nickname, but yeah, look, a bit of sadness there. But it happens.
Has your head stopped spinning yet, or?
I'm pretty good. It was just interesting after it happened because hitting the brakes would mean my lights would turn off, so that was interesting in the wet.
That's always a fun little bug to have when you coming to a hard braking zone and your lights say, "Well, do this in the dark, mate." So yeah, unfortunately, there you were running very well up until that point.
Yeah, I think I was 12th potentially. I don't know, maybe second in class. Not really sure, but
But both of those are correct.
it happens.
As we
Fortunately, that's
see,
part of racing. Well, unless it's unlucky.
Indeed.
That's right. Alright, boys. Well, I'll bid you guys a good evening, and hope the race is just as good as Split Blue as it was in Split Red as it was in Split Blue.
Yeah, it was great having you with us, Jesse. Thanks so much for being here again, and yeah, have a great night.
Yeah, much appreciated. I'll keep giving some track facts in chat just for the fun of it. Keep it interesting.
Sounds fantastic.
Too easy, boys. You guys have a good night.
cheers, Jesse. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
mate. Have a good one.
I mean, if we look at the current standings in the practice, it's a fast track, and Cruz has done a 2.000 basically, which is on an optimum track already a fast lap, and he's a second faster than Ben Floyd and Corey Sweet, who, as we know, are no slouches. So yeah, he's figured that car out, and he makes it go brrr at every track.
It does seem to be that one. I just realised that Floyd and Sweet are only separated by 3 1,000ths of a second. That is quite spicy.
I can imagine how much that is annoying Corey Sweet being that close to Ben Floyd. Especially if your teammate, as Valentini says, hello, currently I'm a pro-am. He's so fast as well. There's a couple of the guys who have maybe returned to OOR or who have jumped up from rookies and stuff like that that are really putting their hand up as some of the faster drivers in the league. As Ben Floyd has decided to put a bit more of a gap between him and Corey Sweet, so yeah.
Yeah, as the fuels come down, the pressures come up, those times start ticking away.
So how was it in the wet? Was it nice and tricky?
It was, look, I made it difficult for myself. Like I overpressured the tires, rookie mistake, but at least they weren't too bad. But yeah, look, the Bentley was never great. Well, for me anyway, through Sector 1 or Sector 2 or really any of the track. So the wet didn't exactly help my case. But, speaking of
it
the
is
wet,
raining
we
in
have
quality.
wet quali.
That is
That's-
not going to be looked upon nicely by Mr.
Anyway.
Cruz. You practice all week in the dry, get the best times possible, and then right at the last minute, chucks you in some wet weather, and suddenly your car is worse for wear.
It is times like these that I wish I was in the team speak, in the Kovacs team speak, because there would be a fair amount of shouting and swearing going on at the moment.
I can confirm that because a few of the other Kovacs guys that are in red did jump into the TeamSpeak as we were racing. And we said, "Oh, I hope you enjoy a wet track." And they were like, "Oh, no, that's for split blue only. Red's fine." All I can say is, suck it.
Lol. Good luck with that. So, yeah, unfortunately, Pete Viney, who is usually in, is having some, his neighborhood has no electric, no internet. So, yeah, as with, I think, quite a lot of Australia at the moment struggling with the flooding and the rains. So, everybody out there hopefully stay safe. But, yeah, he's
Big
not
shout
making
out
it.
to those guys. Anyone that's affected by it, we're here with you, supporting you as best we can.
Agreed.
Of course, John is unavailable. His my family has the COVID bug that has been traveled over to his side of the family. So yeah, currently most of the Sonic listeners are down with COVID. So he's also not being on the track tonight.
Very unfortunate. Hopefully, we all have a speedy recovery in that regard for your family.
Yeah, it's been fun, but I don't know. I don't know what I'd rather have, COVID or a racing in the wet at Suzuka. I'm pretty sure. It's a tough question to ask, honestly. As we follow Paul Johnson here, who is, I think he is the second car out. Car number 7 is Richard McIntosh. Seems to be. I haven't drunk anything, I swear. As in, so they will be the first to start their 5 laps.
Now it's going to be interesting because it does dry out sometime in the next 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
that is, so it could very well dry out sometime over the next few minutes. And I wonder whether, and because there is still currently a bit of a dry line. I wonder whether a dry tire could end up being the faster qualifying tire. Currently damp track. If it dried out, could see somebody try a lap on the dry right at the last minute.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
gonna
rolling the dice on that one.
I'm
But
gonna hedge my bets and say no.
yeah, I think everyone's going to go for the wet tire. But oof,
This
tough
is
call.
the type of quali where the person who starts their last lap last is the person in the best position to get pole position. As this track is going to keep evolving as this quali continues, so you just want to be the last one out there to try and maximize track evolution.
It's always a really hard one to decide whether you want to get out first so you have that clear track, but then it gets conditions here. Either you want to do the risk, go the dry, and then hopefully all those 23 other cars on track will produce that dry line for you. And as I said, being in that last position, you need that optimum chance at making that really punchy lap.
So Mac Daddy keeping true to his words and providing us with track facts. Suzuka was designed as a Honda test track in 1962 by a Dutchman named John Hugenholtz. Thank you, Mac Daddy. He's still on board here with Paul Johnson. He is one of those guys who absolutely loves racing in the rain. Gets a big old shit-eating grin on his face whenever there's a bit of moisture, so he'll be having a ball of a time. Made all the more crazy by the fact that he doesn't use force feedback. I honestly don't know how he keeps the car on track.
I was just going to say that considering he was drifting out of spoon there, so that was quite impressive in the wet. Yeah, I don't know how he does it.
Fairly wide in turn 1. I'm not sure if he invalidated there, but I don't think so. It seemed to be just about within the limits. He's going to come across the line. McIntosh is ahead of him. He will post the first time at 2:15. So the bar is set. Will he reset it? He does by a full second.
Yeah,
So
just on another fact, the track has just switched from damp to wet. So maybe if anyone was on those slicks, is probably going to regret it.
So Mac Daddy apparently uses no force feedback as well. And then they have the goal to complain about people who use bonnet can. I don't understand. Corey Sweet goes a 2:13.6. Ben Floyd 2:13.8. So
There's never much separating those two boys, is there? They're always neck and neck. Oh, as Relahe goes, I'm going to join the club, but goes a couple tenths quicker with a 2:13.5.
See Jackson Leonard Scott, the official pro class driver. The petition has paid off. He puts in a fairly solid time there.
Good old JLS has officially moved to Pro SE. Very nice. About time. We have been calling it for what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks now of racing. It needed to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a petition signed by thousands of people and protests across the world. It's finally paid off, and the OR overlords have listened, and he has been promoted. So we see Mr. Conboy here crossing the line for his first hot lap, and he goes P2 with a fantastic stomp over that.
I never really got my head around the McLaren in the wet, but looks like JC may have actually dialed it in quite nicely.
I've never got my head around how to drive the McLaren full stop pretty much, but yeah, he certainly has figured it out.
The tip with the McLaren is that it just sounds like you're going fast, then you realise you're not, and then you realise you've got to go even harder. And you just got to send it every chance you get.
Yeah, but I don't like it. I don't like driving it. I don't find it fun, so I don't want to put any time into actually racing it. It's Benjamin Perud, who's a driver that I came through the rookie series with. Just a shout out to the rookie series. Anybody in the chat who's looking to join a bit of racing, if you're thinking, "Ooh, these guys look a bit fast for me," we do have a rookie series that runs on Tuesday nights. We have guided track walkthroughs on the weekends. We have practice races. It's a great learning environment. A lot of the fast guys always putting in a hand and giving out free advice to help everybody improve. And as you see with guys like Justin Cruz and Benjamin Perud, Stephen Pye, all of these guys are rookie series graduates from the last couple of seasons. So just a shout out there.
Yeah, I started my series in rookies about 4 seasons ago, so yeah, that definitely helped me learn a lot and have improved quite substantially. It does prep you before that jump to sprint, and obviously if you are in the rookie series, you're also able to sign up to all the OOR special events and endurance as well, which is next week we have the first endurance series race at Imola, I believe.
Imola is correct, yes. Looking forward to that. One of my personal favourite tracks.
Oh, it is a magnificent track to drive on. I'm not exactly great at it, but I still like the track.
I don't know, I'm not good there. I just really enjoy the track. Aqua Minerale is one of my favourite sets of corners on any track anywhere, really.
Only if you get it right.
Well, I think that's pretty much the case with any corner, really. It's only fun if you get it right. But yeah, no, it's such a nice track. It does have a bit of a rubbish chicane, but you know, it's not every track is going to be perfect.
Are you going to be racing there?
Yeah, me and John will have our team again, so...
I will try not to murder your face on the track.
That sounds very violent. I don't know why I had to say murder my face. Just murder would have been appropriate, but okay. Thanks for not doing it. Okay.
I was about to say, Cruz has not set a time yet, but he just set a time. So I don't know what it is, because you can't see the top of the board, but he just disappeared. So he's in the top 3. He is P1
He's in the
by
top 1.
6/10. So just in the nick of time, got himself, and he's got another lap to try and improve it as well. But he left it pretty late.
So I think... Oh, sorry, I don't know what that noise was. I apologize for that. But where is Rala? So he's not going to get. He's going to finish this lap. No, Magdalene, there's no game of who's that Sonic is tonight because there's no Sonic is on track.
I think he was referring to next weekend.
Oh, at the Imola, yeah, fair enough. I mean, we're both in the same car, so literally in the same car, so it doesn't really matter which Sonic it is. The one that's facing backwards will be me. Cameron Ross was a race winner so far this season at the reverse grid at Monza. I read his team name, and it's called Sink Spinner. But when I initially read it, I read Sink Spinkter. So it's like, that's an interesting name. I'm surprised they let that fly, but yep, okay. I'm just a moron.
Look, it happens to the best of us. So are you going to be in the Lexus for this weekend?
Yes, I will.
But of course you are.
The pit wall at Bathurst was hit by John. That was not me. I was the one who ruined the race on that one. So Richuti has put it in P2 there, with only a 10th behind Cruz, which is a fantastic lap by him. Sweet still on the lap, Ralahay still on the lap, Cruz still on the lap. So there's quite a few people with potential to improve here. Valentini, Floyd. As we see Sweet here coming through the final chicane. Will he
Content want
be
to
able
sort of give in to yielding a quality result quite well here as he crosses the line. Oh, goes P2.
Ooh, P2.
Valentini
Valentini
P1.
P1.
Wow.
Very nice.
Cruz does not get the extra lap. He must have invalidated at some point there. Very
And it is
interesting.
dry on a green track at 15 degrees. That sounds like the least grippy thing you've ever seen in your life.
I don't know. The rain in last split, I'd beg to differ.
I don't know, this track is so slippery when it's optimum. I can't imagine it's particularly grippy when it's green.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, just to confirm your grid that we have Alex Valentini, the alleged Pro-Am in P1, Ben Floyd, Corey Sweet, Justin Cruz, Stefano Ricciuti, Mirosana, Ralahay Lee, Jamie Conboy, Richard McIntosh, Wolf Robertson, and Carl Johnson rounding out the top 12. So I have to admit, I'm quite surprised that Cruz wasn't able to get it on the front row, but I mean, Valentini is such a fast guy. He's had quite a few technical issues throughout the season where he disconnected during quali. So he's had to start, I think, 2 races from the pits. And he's still running almost top 10 in the championship, which just shows you how good his recovery drives have been. Of course, teammates Ben Floyd and Sweet putting it in P2 and 3.
Yeah, very.
Sorry for the silence, guys. I just got some great news, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to share it with you now. So we were actually evacuated yesterday. We had evacuation orders in the floods in Sydney, and we had to take our pups and our cat and our 5 chickens and went and stay with a friend. And we just got word that the evacuation order has been lifted, and
Hey,
that's
very nice.
it appears. Well, we haven't been back there yet, but we should be right as rain. That's not a good analogy.
That's really not the right saying.
Yeah.
We can't get in because of the floods of the bridges, but that doesn't matter because the session is now beginning for Octane Online Racing Split Red Round 4 at Suzuka Sprint Series. Thank you for joining us today. Thanks for joining me, guys, in the comms box. We've got JP and Mr. Sean Bub now himself. Welcome.
Yo, we are here. We are ready.
Oh yes, we are. So very interesting that Cruz is in P4. So and I think it's the rain that does it, and that's going to make a really interesting beginning to the race because we know he's going to be quick, and so that's going to make it all the more exciting for us to watch.
The problem he has is overtaking here does require a little bit of top speed. And the Porsche is not particularly well known for that aspect of racing,
Especially against the Nissan.
Exactly. So
you know what? I sort of disagree with you there, bit JP.
I mean,
I feel like I see more. I feel like I see more overtaking happen during some of the windier parts of the track, which is most of the track. You know, getting advantage through the S's, through Degnas, you know, making move down into the hairpin, for example, as opposed to moves at 130R or where you really got to capitalize on the top speed.
True,
This
but
is my
how
opinion.
close enough to make a move into the hairpin if you're not fast enough to beat them.
Or you can just implement my strategy and wait for people to make mistakes.
The good thing about that, JP, is that there's no significant straights before the hairpin. You actually have quite a lot of those long turns from the first corner all the way through to the hairpin. So if your car is more stable, it's not really about straight line speed at all. I don't think. I think it's more about placement of the car, and how well you can take the S's and Degners, of course. But we'll
Fair
see.
enough.
And if you've got the pace too, if you've naturally just got the extra pace on track, because it's not like the Porsche is especially slow here, so they're gaining the speed somewhere. So if it's not the straight, it's going to be somewhere else.
No, I'm not saying the Porsche is not fast here. I'm just saying in terms of overtaking, I'll be interested to see how he does manage it. It does seem as though Cruz hasn't turned on his lights. I hope he remembers
He'll
to
be
turn
getting
on a
he'll be
meatball.
getting blasted for that by his computer.
Yeah.
I wonder if he doesn't have a controls map for it.
Well, you can always go into the MFD and switch them to the enduro setting.
Oh, true. Of course you can.
Require.
Yep, absolutely you can. So what are we looking at here with this Valentini? Pro-Am Valentini on the left. In the McLaren.
Floyd, Corey Sweet,
Ben
and
Floyd.
Mr. Cruz. Top 4.
No surprises with that group, and then Rashudi and Ralahi behind. This is a really good split. I remember last week's race was really exciting to watch, and I'm similarly excited again for this one because those are some very, very quick races. And like we had in Split Blue, we have the fastest hot lapping driver in the field, who is in P4 in this grid. So I think that's going to set us up for an exciting one. All right, down towards the line we go. For Split Red, we are about to go green. Let's see who gets the better run off the mark. Red, green, and they are off. Beautiful at night. All those headlights screaming towards turn 1. That looks like almost a little bit of contact between P1 and P2. That is Cruz trying to make a move around the outside of one of the Nissans. That should be the Nissan of Sweet, and he's probably going to get it done too because he has the inside of the corner here, but they make contact and both of them spear off the track. That is going to be Cruz in. I think he might have just avoided major contact with the wall. I think Corey Sweet has gotten back on track, but and that is Valentini going. Safety car. I'm like, that's Valentini going slow. What's happened?
Just a quick little note. I don't know if anybody's noticed the weather update, but there's going to be a little shower within the next 10 minutes.
Oh, there is.
Spice it up a little bit. And then it's going to go dry again. I wonder how long that'll last. And I wonder if anybody is silly enough to jump into the pits.
I don't think anybody would be brave enough to do that. It was interesting to see what caused the safety car. I'm assuming it wasn't the Sweet.
Yeah, I highly doubt it's the contact between Sweet and Cruz. There might have been something a bit further back in exit of turn 2 potentially. There was a few yellows that did sort of flash up as we were seeing the contact between those two drivers. So it could be a little something in the background just to make it a bit more spicy once we go back to green, probably in a lap or so. Or as we get our replay, we might be able to see what happens here.
Just towards the rear of the field. Oh, okay.
All right.
Before turn 1.
Is there more? There's going to be more. There's absolutely more. There is absolutely course for safety car now. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So Ben Floyd will be happy with that. He managed to jump Valentini around the outside of turn 1 and 2 there, off the start and get into the lead.
Very sweet. Obviously, was the one in who was making contact with Cruz as well, or at least those two cars made contact. The Cruz did get he got a run on the outside after turn 1. I think it's turn 2 technically, and he had the inside run for turn 3, but then Corey Sweet held it around the outside there and tried to have the inside for the next turn, which is where they made contact. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing one for Cruz, who is now back in 18th position.
Yeah, Yeah, I do believe Cruz may have been lucky enough though, just slightly enough to keep it out of the wall as well. So hopefully there isn't too much damage, so to speak, on his car. And same with Corey here. Hopefully they can both get on with their the task at hand of another 50 odd minutes of Suzuka at night, with that little sprinkle of rain due any moment.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Cruz in the pits quite early to try and see if he can utilize his hot lap ability to pull some positions out of the field without battling too hard.
Yeah, might be a good call. I was just about to say, for those unaware, we're not allowed to do the mandatory pit stop under the safety car, so you have to wait until the safety car has come in before you're allowed to make that stop, just to avoid people from getting a major unfair advantage. So if you don't see anybody jumping in trying to take advantage of this, that is the reason for that. So there wasn't really a lot of changing throughout the rest of the field. I mean, that little incident that caused the safety car, the Bender who started, I think in P21 or something like that, made it up to P17. So he benefited from that quite a bit.
If you keep your nose clean here when there's a bit of an incident, just because of how, I guess, technically slidey or narrow the track feels, you can actually gain quite a substantial amount of positions if you are very safe. I think I managed to jump up a fair few in the field with a slightly early pit stop and just being relatively clean throughout the race, so you can actually use it as a viable strategy. I dare say the safety car will be probably coming in this lap, considering there wasn't too much carnage from the start, and it all got to feel it is nice and punched up as we are sitting on board with Cruz at the moment. With his pace, he'll be looking to snap up a fair few positions fairly early on in these next few laps. Hopefully gain a little bit of clear track before that little drizzle comes in. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what people do in terms of how well they control their tyres, especially during that wet section of track race we're going to have in about, probably in the next lap or two. I would say it might start raining if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, and so the leader is going to take the field away. Ben Floyd is going to take them off the line from the safety car restart. Back on what you're saying about Cruz, it's going to be interesting. I was saying he might pit early to try and capitalize on the mistake from earlier, well, from obviously going back in the field and try and capitalize on positions he could make. Separate from that, as Ben Floyd takes off, he's taken them really close to the line before he goes away, but it looks like he has gapped Valentini enough to have a clean run into turn one, but Corey Sweet around the outside of turn one is going to get the position from Valentini before they get through to turn two.
How much do you want to bet that was coordinated via some kind of team speak between the two of them? Floyd telling Sweet exactly when he was going to go to get the jump on that.
I guarantee you that absolutely
was
the case.
Comment on that.
Excellent teamwork between the two.
Exactly, great teamwork, getting the jump on Valentini, and yeah, they got themselves into P1 and 2.
So with Cruz, I was saying he might pit early, but you wouldn't want to pit before the rain, is what I was going to say. You don't want to pit before it because you want to sort of ruin these tires in the wet weather and come back out when it dries up after that rain stint.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the track is... I'm still not 100% sure. Maybe somebody in chat could answer this question for me. I've never been able to figure it out. Whether a green and fast track wears the tires out quicker than an optimum track.
That's above my pay grade.
Like, logically for me, it makes sense that the green and the fast track would wear it out quicker because you get more slippage and more sliding and scrubbing.
Yeah, you'd be laying more rubber down in those sections where in the optimum you've got that grip, I guess, so you probably would burn out the tyres that slight bit more.
So we might see, yeah, as Samwise said, I'm thinking he's going to try and push past maybe around 15 minutes or so when the rain has stopped, and then we can jump in early and do some hot laps.
I think everyone will be pretty worried what comes after that next sort of 30-minute mark. Whether there's going to be a bit more rain again, like do you push these tyres through this section and hope that it's going to stay dry for the remainder of the 50-minute race that they have, or is there a potential that there might be another shower later on? As we see Ben Floyd put in the fast lap at the moment with a 2:04.1.
I don't think that's particularly representative lap time at the moment. Ooh, that's pretty wide by Valentini there, I think.
He's
Yep,
definitely
that is
going to lose
Valentini.
2 positions from that one.
Well, he was in
Back on-
P3.
So he's now in P5.
10, 9. That was Paul Johnson who just overtook him there. Yeah, he's dropped to
Oh.
P9 then. Yeah, that was a big
so
mistake.
that's not Relahi. I thought that was the Lexus of Relahi in P5. So what's happening to this McLaren? That's a significant amount of time he's lost.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he ran wide by himself or if there was some kind of contact. It is raining now, and it's going to get heavy rain in the next 10 minutes and then dry out. So this is an interesting strategic choice that has to be made now.
Without a question, you don't pit. I think it's not long enough rain to pit. You've just got to suffer it on those dry tyres.
Yeah, well, it would be probably somewhere in the vicinity of 10-15 minutes on the sketchy tyres in the wet. I mean, it's doable. It's just it won't feel great, but they're being greasy. This many people on track, a dry line will perform relatively quick as well.
Is Cruz in the pits?
He has pitted, yeah.
He has.
Right, there you go. So he's decided, regardless, he's going to go and stick it out in the rain on those tyres. Try and make up the time. Perhaps it could be a genius move. Make up the time when people are slowest in the rain. Have the track all to yourself, so you're not battling in the rain. I think it could very well be a masterstroke.
Great move by Conway on the outside of Lee there. He made a bit of an error coming through 130R. That compromise run into the triangle there, and well done by Conway to take advantage of that. Moving himself up into P5. But yeah, to come back to what you were saying about Cruz, I think I agree, he's taking himself out of potential incidents with somebody losing it on the wet track, not being able to avoid. So yeah, if he does make a mistake or something like that, he only has himself to blame, and he doesn't have to worry about getting involved with somebody else spinning out in front of him.
Very smart move. I said before that perhaps he should wait until after the rain so you don't wear those tyres, but considering the other option, which is to take advantage of the slower cars during the rain while everybody's on the same bad tyres, could very well be the smartest move. And we'll see. Just he was in position 18. We'll see how many positions he's able to gain by the time everybody else pits, presumably after the rain, in at least about sometime between 10 and 30 minutes.
Yeah, just where you'd be sort of wondering as well whether your tyre choice, like you're going to wets now, are going to be a little bit hard to get them turned from that, obviously, because the track's not going to be exactly wet, and that dry line will be forming. But these guys on the slicks will be sliding, and so it is going to be one of those, are you quicker than the slicks?
Well, I think Cruz is going to be on
yeah, he'll
dry
be on the dries.
He'll be back on dries. I don't think anybody's going to.
Ooh, that's
if anybody goes to wet,
Very wide.
there.
if anybody goes to wets, I think it's the wrong call. I believe that Cruz. I think that he will have gone onto the dry tires as well.
Yeah,
And basically, he's running on the same tires as everyone else. He's just running out of sequence, so he can just put in his own laps, not be involved in incidents, and try and capitalize and get as many positions as he can. As you see, 2x2.
Oh boy. Around the outside at 130R in the wet on dry tires. Those are some mighty big cojones, my friend.
And they're still side by side. They've been side by side for 4 turns.
Well, at least there's a big snap there.
Well avoided there, buddy.
Regains it. Wow. Good racing. But that is a position for Convoy. Timing line will reflect it now. Relahi is not an easy one to pass. And Convoy puts one on Neary, so that is...
And he goes very wide himself.
Really wide. Well, as we see, Pete getting a 10-second penalty for a collision on lap 1.
That was the one that happened after about 13 meters, I think. Oh, Convoy's into the... Oh, he keeps it out of the
He's
wall.
kept it out of the wall.
Well
Well
done.
done. Unfortunately, lost at least 5 positions there. Maybe just got a little bit loose under power. Those slicks will not be liking guesses with the amount of moisture on the track at the moment.
I think we can all blame Bibles for Jason's penalty, so thank you, Bibles.
Yeah,
All of
Diabol's
these
go.
cars are just very sketchy, clearly in the rain, so it is not going to be fun to be racing at Suzuka on dry tyres, cold dry tyres nonetheless, on a wet track, so it's, yeah, I'm not surprised if we
Track has
see more
gone
people on
down.
track.
Corey gets his pen for the
Yeah,
collision
for the
begins.
cruise.
And
So,
second
yeah,
penalties.
the track has gone down and the weather has updated that it is drying within the next 10 minutes or so. So these guys will just be trying to stick it out for a couple of minutes more, and then once the track goes back to the greasy is usually when we're going to be jumping back onto some fresh rubber.
So we've had our second attempt at a curse in chat there by Gorilla. He's cursed JC and now Carlos. So if anything happens to those two, we can send all hate mail towards Gorilla.
I mean, we do that anyway, so... Ooh,
Yeah,
Lee,
we know.
very wide. Very well done to keep it under control. Octane Online Racing saying, I really enjoy these new conditions. Yeah, the weather system is a lot more dynamic, I would say. Recently in the updates, it's more unpredictable, and it's made for some interesting racing, you know, especially with like 12 hours and stuff like that as well.
I've got a bit of a look here on Valentini, going to go see if he can send it up the inside, but the door might be closing. No, Valentini leaves it well and truly open, trying for a bit of safety, maybe just letting that position yield probably in these conditions. Not a bad shout. Definitely want to don't have contact in here to get damage, because lapping in the wet without damage is probably extremely hard at this point. If you add the damage, it's going to be pretty much impossible.
Track has gone officially wet, so now is the time where these tires will be at their most treacherous. So I think we'll see the lap times will be a fair few seconds off what they were just a minute ago.
And very soon the rain will end entirely, so it gets worse before it gets better. So all you have to do, guys, is survive the next 10 minutes before it goes, well, under 10 minutes before it goes dry. Oh, that is a quick run, and that is a dive up the inside, unfortunately onto the grass. It's going to be collision with the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
and goes around, unfortunately.
Oh, and as they're coming back on, cars are back around again. That is a really unfortunate incident.
I dare say that you would have had brakes on the whole time, but once you're on that grass, it's basically ice.
No,
Nothing you can do. You're a passenger.
That was a big hit, and that would have been a massive hit for Lee, not expecting anything, not seeing anything on the warning, and then just all of a sudden, boom, you're facing the wrong way. And you have a spotter saying, car on your left. Yeah, you think car in my left is more accurate, I would say.
Hey, car is now merging with your passenger door.
So that's going to be a severe amount of damage for Valentini, and after his fantastic qualifying performance, his race has not gone quite as well, I would say. Ooh, that's very wide by Farouk there.
It's just a survival game at the moment in this kind of weather.
Yeah, it'd be pretty much on the edge of your seat here through most of these corners for these guys on these dries. I must admit, I would not want to be one doing that. It was sketchy enough on the wets. So my hat goes off to all these guys giving this a good shout to get through this little window of pain before they can hopefully see that dry track and get those fresh rubbers on and see what they can do.
So realistically, they could pit any time, as Cruz has done, because ultimately, if they're going to be on the same tires, which they will, they could theoretically pit now if they wanted to get out of the out of traffic at least, because you've got the two perils, of course, the rain, but it's what the rain does to the other drivers on the track that you've really got to be worried about. And just look how sketchy that is. And to be honest, if anything, I'd probably want to spend a couple of minutes of this rain time in the pits. You're probably getting an advantage that way just by basically avoiding, a minute of rain running instead of a minute of dry running, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, you got your pit travel time plus your stop, so you're probably not a bad idea in taking that time down, looking for that dry track. Probably save your tyre life a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think the best choice here is to wait until that track goes at least greasy before you generally consider pitting, to be honest, because you will...
Why would you say that? Because the tyres are not wet?
End up scrubbing your tyres. Brand new fresh tyres will get scrubbed, and then you'll just have a compromised set of tyres for the rest of your stint.
It depends on what battles you're in, I think, at the time. I think, obviously, Cruz being so far back, smarter move was just to get out of the battles. I think it depends, you've got to weigh up the risk. What's the risk of staying on track at the moment versus going and, gaining time by jumping in the pits and getting out in some clear air?
Well, you'll be in clear air, but you'll still be on the same track conditions on tyres that aren't that much fresher than the existing tyres that you have. So I'm not sure you're gaining all that much.
I think if you've got traffic ahead of you, I think absolutely these battles are going to cost them, and I think that point is going to be proven by Cruz. Cruz was in 18th position. I think you're going to see him in a significantly higher position after that stint.
True, but we'll have to look at his performance on his tyres towards the end of the race as well.
Absolutely, we will.
Another thing, yeah.
Yeah, and there's always that trade-off. You've got potential advantage to gain now or disadvantage later, and that's always the pit strategy game you've got to play. And each driver will make their own decision on what is the best strategy for them based on what they believe the dangers to be at the time and what advantage they can gain by getting in the pits.
I think the reason that I have the current opinion that I have is we experienced it at Bathurst where I went out on the dries while the track was still wet and it dried out, and the tyres took almost 30 minutes to really come back to where they should be. So that's the reason I think it's just best to stay out as long as possible until the track has started drying a bit more, and then just come in on a track that's a little bit rubber in, not wet anymore, and you'll just get more performance out of that set of tyres. But anyway, back to the racing. Carl Johnson here, having a look at Stefano Ricciuti, getting very interested in moving up into P4 here, past that Lamborghini.
Just want to do a shout out too. I'm the only one that sees this, and but those brake lights of the Lexus in this condition through the vision of Convoy, they look like they're on fire.
They really do, don't they? Through the spray, they look like they're on fire every time they go on. Convoy has made his way back up to P6 thanks to the incidents we saw before between Valentini and those who are ahead, because we saw Convoy leave the track and lose about 5 positions, at least only a few laps ago. So he's done great to get himself back up to P6.
Ooh, goal with the big
very sketchy Lexus. Come on, guys, it's all about survival right now.
Valentini did unfortunately get a 15-second penalty for that incident you were just referring to as well.
So that's about fair, unfortunately. I don't think it was in any way intentional, but it was a rather big incident by a very small mistake.
Convoy's a bit of a run here. I think he might have eased off. I think he might not have wanted to make the move. It looked like he was gaining, and then he's pulled back a bit.
Yeah, if I saw the Lexus.
Ricciuti is wide again.
Oh, yep.
Convoy.
Oh, that looked like a mad trip from the Lexus there on exit 2.
That's the position, just so we know. Carl Johnson has pulled himself ahead of Stefano Ricciuti, and that is Convoy on the back of Ricciuti now. And that Lamborghini does not look like it is having fun.
No, and it looks like the track has now gone back to a damp condition.
Yeah.
So this might be, as you said earlier, this is the chance that if you want to go for your tyres, this might be the best time to do so. Spending
guys,
that minute in there.
We had a change of the leader, despite the penalty, of course. Corey Sweety's in P1.
Oh, wow.
So Ben Floyd running in P2 right now.
Oh, that's
so
very well.
what happened there? Keep it on track, guys. Only there we go. The rain is now. It's going away. It should be very, very light now. Extremely light, and it will be nothing sometime in the next minute or so.
So, Diabol's in chat asking, it's also night and cold as hell, so it takes longer to dry out. That is absolutely correct. It is simulated in the game, so colder track temps, no sun, nothing like that, so it takes a bit longer to not only dry out the track, but for the racing line to form and rubber in and everything like that. So yeah, it's definitely simulated.
So whether there's much advantage to be gained at all from keeping that fresh set of tires fresh now is going to be interesting to see. Do you want to wait another 20 minutes after it's gone dry before you put the new set of tires on?
Personally, but as soon as it goes greasy, that's when I dive into the best. If it was me making the decision, I'm wondering whether this Floyd and Sweet change was not maybe a strategic one, to let him get through and get the gap on Ralahay so they can do the pit stop and still come out ahead of him.
Only if Sweet was the faster one and he was being held up by Ben at the time, which very well could be the case. Sweet is very fast in the rain. I would not be surprised if that was the case and Ben has decided to let him through, knowing that all he has to do is stay close, and after the pit stop, where he will be required to serve that 10 seconds, he will
high, do a nice
overcorrect twice.
He tried to do a pirouette and it didn't work in his van.
Coming in with a drift as well.
That is.
These conditions are sketchy.
And it is now not raining, so the drying out begins. And I'm sure we're going to see very soon. We'll see some cars start diving into the pits sometime soon. Probably, as you say, JP, when the track goes greasy, could very well be the time to shine.
Yeah, as we see Thistlewaite there, he was one of the first front runners. I think he was running he just passed Convoy there, so he was running P6. He's one of the first of the top 10 to dive into the pits.
This will give us an indication as he comes out of the pits now where he is in relation to Cruz. Does Cruz get the position on him, or does he fall in behind? Actually, Cruz has now lost a position to McIntosh, which McIntosh was like 20 seconds behind him after Cruz came out of the pits. So McIntosh pit early as well. So Cruz may be losing time at the moment in the wet. He might have also had an incident.
I think he may have had an incident because, yeah, he was just P19 and then it updated when he was P20.
He's lost it to McIntosh, but like I said, there was 20 seconds between them, so
yeah.
It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah, it's interesting. As we see, Tarquin Finton, who is Pete Viney, who I mentioned earlier, didn't have power. He does have power now, so unfortunately that's a little bit too late. As we do see Cameron Thistlewaite there with a 10-second penalty for screwing in the pit lane. Very easy to do here.
Diabol's wanting us to call the race because Ben's up in P15. I'm pretty sure he wants a little bit more time on this wet track before we can do that for him. He does enjoy the rain, so I've heard.
Not so sure if he enjoyed the rain after that first 12 hours. But, he did call for it, so he got what he wanted. See Cameron Ross here attacking Benjamin Grukerud. Is taking some... that
was interesting.
Okay. I was going to say he's taking some interesting lines. That's not quite what I meant. He did do a couple of drifts in previous...
Oh, there we go. There's another one.
That is not looking good. Okay, if that is what Ross is seeing, that would be extremely distracting for him. So that is, not what you want to be seeing in front of you.
Behind him now. Oh god.
Oh no.
Hang on. Are they battling right now for position behind? Is that Stephen Tyre coming by?
Yes.
Ross?
That would be terrifying in these conditions. Having warping Nissan and battling and defending.
Side by side through the S's. We couldn't even see that. All we could see there was the craziness the Audi was seeing. So that's... I wonder if that's because the Audi was being distracted by the warping Karud, whose ping has just skyrocketed in the 991 Nissan.
Yeah, look, I think you can say it's a fair, safe shout that if you saw that on your screen while you're trying to do this race, you would be backing off to, wondering where is that car going to spawn in? Are we going to have those lovely Kunos-featured physics happen, and will it ruin your race? So yeah, that's a fair shout that it's backed off, and unfortunately cost him a few posies.
Is he still on track? Car 991?
He
Yeah,
is still P9 at the moment.
He's still up ahead.
His ping has dropped from red to yellow now, so may have been just some connectivity issues or
Service
something.
disruption.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Lucky for him, it's not a disconnection. So, all right, we go racing.
The joys of sim racing happens to the best of us. Sometimes our connections yield out on us, and there's nothing we can do. We just got to be a passenger until hopefully it rectifies, and that you don't cause anyone any real problems throughout the entire time. We jump on with Mr. Lee here, trying to have an attack at Bender. Oh no, we're going into the pits instead. That's probably not a bad shout. Going onto the halfway mark of the race, more or less. Change those tyres.
Carrying a fair amount of damage as well after his U-turn T-bone at the hairpin.
Ah yes, the merging of two cars.
So Cruz is behind Thistlewaite as well, quite a bit. I don't think Cruz's strategy has worked out.
Yeah, Thistlethwaite came out ahead of McIntosh, so actually Ferox lost out to McIntosh sometime recently that we haven't seen, and Cruz, yeah, lost somewhere in that in the last 30 minutes. He's lost 20 seconds of time, so there might have been an incident that we didn't see, and that's why he's that far back.
I think Valentini's pace is still very impressive. I mean, he must also be carrying quite a bit of damage. And the McLaren is usually a car that doesn't do well with aero damage. So very impressive from him to still be sticking it in with these guys here.
We are halfway through, keep pushing.
Well, it seems like Ralahay is having one of those boring days where he's just racing all by himself. Sweet must have made a small mistake there, as the gap has come down from 2.4 to under a second on this lap. Carl Johnson, after getting past Ricciuti with a mistake in T1, has tapped him a little bit. And from there on out, it's a fairly evenly spaced out grid at the moment.
Right, so Ralahi's in what I call the black hole, where you're losing time to the car in front, but you're gaining time on the car behind. And it's just this ever-expanding nothingness.
Yep. It's the type of race that's actually nice to have every now and then. It's no drama. You're just doing a bit of 60 minutes of hot lapping. Nobody's bothering you, and you score good points, and you go home and have a good night's sleep.
That's the kind of race you enjoy, JP.
No, not at all.
Just you by yourself, hanging out.
I mean, I don't enjoy it, but they say having a boring race is a good race because you're not getting involved in incidents and stuff like that. So, I prefer to battle, but yeah, obviously, if you're running in P3 and nobody's bothering you, then you're scoring good points and not running the risk of any penalties.
It's true. When you're talking over a championship, absolutely. For an individual race, no, give me the battle every time.
Floyd is all... They're really ebbing and flowing between the two of them. I'm not sure if they're making mistakes or just playing around or something, but yeah, the consistency of the gap is not fantastic. So Cruz is currently sitting in P18. This is where he was when he went into the pits. Obviously, quite a few cars up ahead haven't pitted yet. But it'll be interesting to see how many cars he clears. I don't think he'll be... interested to see if he's in the top 10 after the pit stops. I don't think he will.
Past Rashuti. Rashuti was fairly well up, but we'll have to see these top drivers come in before we know. I'd be interested to see where he is in relation to someone like Convoy back in P5.
How did he get it? With Ricciuti? That's interesting because Ricciuti was ahead of Convoy.
He was
So-
on his pit entry. He actually engaged limiter quite early, so he would have lost some time tunneling into the actual pit as well.
Okay.
That could be that might be a lot of time. Perhaps it's been very well could have been something else happened there. I wonder if he had damage from something earlier. Oh, that is a wide Ferrari.
But that's just a back marker though. Probably just getting out of the way for blue flags.
Yeah, that's right. So this is Ben Floyd. We're riding on board. Well, riding over the top of right now, who is 1.3 seconds behind Corey Sweet. So those guys are going very strong in the rain. The Nissans doing their job. They're 14 seconds clear of Relahi back in P3. So very comfortably out in front, 1-2 right now. After they pit, we will see those positions change based on that 10-second penalty for Corey Sweet because of the contacts early on with Cruz on the first lap.
Just got a question from chat at the moment saying, what do we reckon is the best car in the wet?
It's on the track, but I'm not sure. What with 1.8 has its it doesn't seem like it's as significantly in the advantage of the Bentley.
No, I don't. I think the Aston is pretty comfortably the best car on the wet at the moment. Yeah, and as Malak saying, the Nissan is also. It always was very good in the rain, and it's. I think it's even better in the rain now.
In my opinion, it's going to be the one that you can keep on the track.
So not the Maserati.
Look, if you can keep it on the track, then my hat goes off to you, but look, I wouldn't be picking it.
Yeah, M4 is obviously very strong in the wet, but it's not currently allowed. And Jamie Conboy has been in the pit that you, silly man. That is a very unfortunate penalty to give away. M6 is also very good in the rain, according to Gorilla Snapper. That seems to be fairly accurate based on Lucas Dowd's performance in the previous race. Oh, that's very wide by Groot again. He really seems to be having a tough time keeping it within the white lines. He's still going fast somehow. He's just not following the track most of the time.
Sometimes you got to make your own track, so to speak.
Diables has turned on JC finally. 1 too many infringements.
It's a good battle here between Wolf and McClaws, and then ahead, Karud there, that's in the Nissan. So a great little three-way battle here. Might be the closest battle. Now this is going to be interesting. Yeah, there we go. So that is who's that in the pits? That was McClaws, was it? Yeah, McClaws in the pits. So let's see where he comes out in relation to these two. So so Benjamin Karud and then Wolf, Andreas Wolf. We'll see whether the undercut gives much of an advantage here, given that the track is damp right now. He's going to put on some fresh green tyres. What do you reckon, guys? A gain or a loss?
I think at this stage the track will be evolving, so I reckon he's gonna gain from it.
You have to be very careful on that outlap on those fresh green tyres. They're going to be very, very slight.
So Cruz currently in P15. There are 12 cars who have not pitted yet. So that is going to be one to watch. In fact, we know McClaws has come into the pits from P10. So if he overtakes... Yep, Cruz is in 15.
P14, if you look at the bottom right.
Oh, the bottom right, okay, it hasn't updated on the left yet. So Cruz currently P14. I think we'll see him. We'll see where he comes out in relation to McClaws, because McClaws was P10, then we have a pretty good idea of where Cruz is.
Well,
and when they go past the next...
Sorry, he's ahead of Conboy. Conboy was running P5, and he's currently 5 seconds ahead of him, so looks like he's roughly around where Cole Johnson will be, so P4.
Very good recovery drive if that's the case, especially with that time loss. And you've got to wonder with that time loss what... I mean, McIntosh is now... Is McIntosh just running an epic race right now? Because there's every chance that it's just McIntosh setting epic times. What is he doing right now? His last lap, I mean, it's hard to know. His best lap, see, it's very hard to know because the track's been evolving so much. But he's now 16 seconds ahead. He was 20 seconds behind Justin Cruz. So if you're saying Justin Cruz is looking around Carl Johnson, then then I think McIntosh is potentially playing for a podium.
Well, if you look at the lap times there, I saw Cruz's previous lap was a 2:13, Floyd's was a 2:13, McIntosh was a 2:11. So he's
McIntosh
1.5, 2 seconds quicker than anybody else at the moment, it seems.
So that's I very well could just have been wrong about that. There may not have been an incident at all with Cruz. We might have just had a fast-flying Bentley this whole time who clawed his way up 20 seconds in a matter of 10 laps.
It seems I need to get in contact with McIntosh and go, what is your Bentley secret? Because I was not able to do so.
Right, that's going. Oh, McIntosh is in the pits again.
Oh.
McIntosh has already completed his mandatory stop and he is in the pits. So I wonder what has gone on there.
Maybe he did a wet pit stop for the wet tyres for that session and then gone in for the dries now. Maybe he thought a double stopper might have been the way to go, but who knows. We see Johnson do a nice drift.
If we jump onto him, we might even see it. Now, he was on wet tyres, that's why. So he is gone. So he did the gamble, put it on the wets, and now has to go back onto the dries. He gained a lot of time, so he gained that 20 seconds. Maybe it might have even been more than that to Cruz, and then 16 seconds. So what's that? 36 seconds. Unfortunately, the pit loss is more than that. So ultimately, that's not going to serve him well.
No, he's already dropped down to P18 at the moment.
Johnson is behind Cruz. Cruz has come out well ahead of Johnson. So he has put himself in. Johnson was being somebody on the track. Is that Bender?
That was, I think it was Bender. He's in that blue Merc, isn't it?
Oh, yep, there he is. Is he just getting out of the way, or is I think he might? I think
he might play it off as that. Yeah, I saw the leaders coming up. That's why
I just thought I'd throw myself off the track into the wall. Ben Floyd, 0.8 behind Corey Sweet. I don't think these guys are going to battle too hard. I imagine they're going to come into the pits sometime soon. But at the moment, if they're making good pace, perhaps they'll just stick it out until the track's a little nicer.
It's been bad for almost 10 minutes, over 10 minutes. Doesn't seem to be drying up particularly quickly.
Looks like Floyd is getting a little bit more pace than Sweet at the moment. But looking at the lines, that Nissan ahead of him seems to be more unstable than what Floyd's there. And even though his steering inputs would suggest otherwise, then he has closed that gap up quite substantially.
Still a damn track. Those very sort of minor. There's minimal input, so I think expected and normal in this sort of weather scenario. I think if he is significantly faster, there's every chance they'll swap positions. Being teammates and knowing that Corey's got that penalty, if that was proving to be the case and Corey was holding him up, I imagine they might even just do a position swap, which seems a bit odd when they're in P1 and 2. But of course, with that penalty in play, Ben Floyd will be the corrected race leader come the pit stop time.
Cruz is caught up with the South African, so looking to get past him. I'm assuming he's going to be running in P4 then, when all of his finishes playing out.
At least P4, so I think...
Yeah, because the gap to Ralahay was quite big for Carl Johnson. I think it was about 8 seconds.
There we go. So Corey Sweet is in the pits as well. So he's going to serve that penalty. He will come out still in P2. Well, he won't come out in P2, sorry. He will come out effective P2 because there was a significant gap back to Ralahi in P3. So he'll maintain that position there after Ralahi's pit.
Another speeding in the pit lane penalty there for Andreas Wolf. So quite a few of them already in the split. We didn't see many of them in the previous split. We saw many of them last night. So it's quite a deceptive pit lane and an easy thing to do. You just ask Jamie Thunder.
So to give some championship context to the battles that we're watching. So first of all, the person in P1, as I think you guys were saying earlier during qualifying, is Justin Cruz is currently topping the championship points in both the net points as well as the aggregate points. Remembering that we do drop, we have a drop round.
Sweet is in the aggregate points, I think.
He is Sweet leading in aggregate points? Oh, sorry, my mistake. He's significantly leading in aggregate points. Yes, you are correct. But he's P3 on the same net points as Rashuti. So the top player is Justin Cruz. We think he's going to come out somewhere around that P4 mark after everything's said and done. So he's currently, what's that? Thistlethwaite, 20 seconds behind Corey Sweet. And Cruz 21 seconds behind Corey Sweet. I think Relahi was around 19 seconds behind Corey Sweet at pit entry. So he very well will be within 2 seconds of Relahi. So it's going to be very interesting to see, can he get past Ferox here and potentially challenge for a podium. There's still 16 minutes left of this race, so it's all to play for.
It's it's going to be quite interesting to see where he comes out. And I don't think Ralahe is running a particularly fast pace at the moment. These guys with the fresh tyres obviously will be running maybe a little bit better pace. But Ralahe will be running on fairly low fuel at the moment, so he should have good pace in the final stint. So we could have a good battle between him and Cruz if Cruz is able to clear Thistlethwaite here. But yeah, just some breaking news. We interrupt this broadcast to tell you that Formula One has officially cancelled its contract with the Russian Grand Prix. So there's a bit of international racing news for you. And now back to your scheduled programming.
Good. This is all I will say.
Yeah, I think we all saw that coming, to be honest, given the current situation. Everyone's got to do their thing with that, so... Oh well, we move forward and we move on.
And we race as one. The convoy is supposed to have a... Ooh, that's very wide by both of them. Ooh.
So I'll just point out as well. Oh no, that is either a big dive or a big mistake from Cruz. No, it's a dive and it's a successful one. He's made it happen, and I'm going to point out now that Corey Sweet, now everyone's in the pit, so we're going to see a change. But I think we're going to see him in P3. I think we're going to see Justin Cruz in P3.
There we go. Yep, that's way ahead of Raleigh. And Thistlethwaite has played this brilliantly. He's up into P4.
So I think Raleigh might have had a problem because Thistlethwaite was suddenly only 10 seconds behind Raleigh before the pits. So I think there might have been a problem there. Although currently it's saying Justin Cruz behind Raleigh.
No, they definitely. He was still at pit exit by the time they went past. So he's definitely behind it.
We'll see that update. If that is true, that is a mega recovery from Justin Cruz, who's currently topping the leaderboard for Split Red. So he'll be extremely happy with that kind of recovery drive.
Raleigh on the track map there behind them, just going through Dunlop now. So
there we go.
He's a good
14
seconds down.
14 seconds behind Corey Sweet with 14 minutes to go. I don't know if that's a possible gap to make up. Corey Sweet is a very fast driver, and those tyres for Cruz, as we were saying earlier, probably are quite the worst for wear. So the other championship players, where's Stefano Rashuti right now?
P8.
Can we see? Where was that? P8. P8 is Stefano Rashuti. So he's currently P2 in the championship. Then you've got Corey Sweet, who's currently P3 in the championship. He is P2 in this race. Ben Floyd, he's missed around, I believe, and he is currently P7 in the championship. So that is, those are the guys to look out for at the moment. Misson and Sonicus are the others who are in the top 5 of the championship, but is Misson
not racing tonight?
Both not racing tonight, so. That's unfortunate. And so, yeah, Cruz, Rashuti, Sweet, and Floyd, those are the ones to watch.
And shout out to Ron Grillo, who's absolutely dominating the AM class today. It's the only one there, but don't let that distract from the fact. yeah, not sure where the other AMP class drivers in this split is. That's area wide by Valentini again.
Yeah, Valentini. I wonder if he did not repair that damage. Perhaps he's still running with it for the rest of the race.
To focus here on Benjamin Brood and Cameron Ross. Coming through 130R into the Casio triangle. Aaron Lee obviously would have repaired most likely some of the damage in the pits, and he'll be looking to make his way back up. He was running in the top 6 at the time of said incident, but he'll be looking to get past these guys and maybe close down McLaws if that gap is big enough or small enough to bridge. Paul Johnson is just behind Ralahay now, so Ralahay must have had a pretty poor pit stop because he's less than a second behind him.
So if Johnson and Raleigh battle much, then this could give Thistlethwaite what he needs to pull that 10-second gap, because he's already got 3.6 seconds on Raleigh. He has been gaining each lap, so he'll want P5 and P6 to start battling so that he can try and retain that P4 position.
Having done many laps with Paul Johnson, I can guarantee you that if there's any opportunity to start the battle, he will be the first to grab that. So I'm sure he'll oblige Thistlethwaite's wish there in terms of getting the battle started.
Well, it'll be a matter of how the Battle of the Bentleys goes. I think if Raleigh can hold him off, then that could definitely put Ferox in a very good position there. So we're having a look at Johnson right now. So this is Johnson behind Raleigh. This is for P5 in the race, or potentially P4 in the race. The sooner he can get it done, the better, because the more battling, the further away Thistlethwaite is going to get.
So let's see, the gap as they cross the line is 1 second, so he's lost a bit of time there on Ralahay. I think Ralahay might have slightly better pace in the try. Paul is a bit of a wet weather specialist. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to put much pressure on Leary here. So Valentini has been passed by Stephen Pye, so he's still very close to the back of him, but Pye has gone ahead of him. Yeah, he's not had the best of days, unfortunately. As we Ronald Robertson.
Yeah, move. Robertson goes deeper on the outside of Bendai into turn 1, and he's gonna make that work for him. Very brave.
Well, to be fair, as I said before, and I'll continue saying it until he changes the livery of the car, but if I was behind him, I would send it everywhere just so I could get ahead of him and I don't have to see it.
I mean, it is the best livery on track. I think we can all agree.
I mean, no. Just no. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, there's so many nice colors to choose from in the color palette, and that's what he chose.
Yeah, he chose all of the nice colors.
Did he? Did he go? Did he though? Did he?
Yeah, he chose all of the best colors in the best possible combinations, and he's just produced. I don't know. It's a masterclass of livery creation.
I feel like you're biting me, and I'm not gonna bite.
I feel like you have been. I've enjoyed this.
I mean, anyway, so Johnson is back within half a second of Ralahay, so it seems as though he's got a better third sector this time around. Lexus
A little bit of time there, but he is close enough to battle for that position, and they are still both well within touching distance of Thistlethwaite and that 10-second penalty. So at the moment, this is not playing into the hands of Ferox in P4. Ben Floyd currently leading the race, 3.3 seconds ahead of Corey. Only 3.3 seconds ahead of Corey Sweet, who had a 10-second penalty.
That's a very close gap. What happened there?
What are the lap times right now between Corey Sweet and Ben Floyd? I wonder if there's like a tire pressure issue or something like that. It'd be hard to judge what your tire pressure should be, considering you've had to be on dry tires in the rain most of the race. Coming into the pits to try and determine what your pressures will be for the next stint might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, there's more rain coming, but unfortunately that's not going to be before the end of the race. Paolo's taking some interesting lines through the curve and there. That's not generally a curve you want to be hitting. But he's putting a lot of pressure on Neri here. I think Neri hasn't quite got the Lexus figured out yet. He's not as crazy fast as he used to be in the Porsche. It is a tricky car to drive. I mean, saying that from the Porsche is impossible to drive, but yeah, it's a tricky car to extract the pace out of. Yeah, he just doesn't seem to be as quick as he was in the Porsche at the moment.
I'm sure that's just comfortability of car. He spent a long time in the Porsche and got very, very good at it. So I'm sure it's just a comfortability thing. You know, you've got to get a good few races under your belt to get used to these cars. It can take a whole season just to get used to a car.
Absolutely. Or you drive something like the McLaren, like Rossi did, and then by the end of the season you're still not comfortable in it.
What are you talking about? And sorry, lads, I had a bit of a phone call there, so I had to mute myself for a while there, but I have returned.
Fantastic.
So McIntosh with the two-stop strategy definitely didn't work out quite as well as he would have liked. He's running currently at P19.
Yeah,
it was worth a shot, but didn't work out for the day.
Yeah, he gave it his best go, but yeah, it wasn't to be. P19 surely not where he would have wanted to end up in this race. We're currently looking at Ben Floyd navigating some Lexus back markers. So that gap isn't changing significantly between Ben Floyd and Corey Sweet. So it might have just been that there was a small incident for Floyd that lost him a few seconds and brought Corey Sweet a bit closer. As we said, Corey Sweet was ahead going into the pits and had a 10-second penalty, and so
Maybe even just like overshot the pit box slightly. We've all done it. That costs you a couple seconds.
very well. Yep.
Maybe
Or
just
some
give
damage
the-
with the potentially with the. Oh no, that was Sweet, wasn't it? With Cruz. So
Yes.
yeah, not sure. That's right. We nothing dramatic. He's still in P1. So moving on, and now looking at McClaw's chasing down the beautiful Bandai.
It is quite a unique livery, is it not?
You're just using nice words to say it's ugly. Just say it's ugly. Then we can all agree it's ugly.
I did not say this.
I don't know what you're talking about, JP.
Anyway, so Cruz has done a fantastic job of recovering. Johnson is still all over the rear of Ranahay. Convoy is running in P7, having started in P8. He did have a 10-second penalty, which somehow disappeared. I'm not sure if he has the race director's PayPal or if I'm missing something.
Yeah, I did
Well,
read
was
something
this-
about his
it-
pen, but yeah, I'm not
It
showing
was the
up.
speeding in pit lane infringement was for Convoy. So
Yeah, but where is the penalty? It's not showing, and he couldn't have served it in the pits because he got it for speeding in the pits.
while he was in the pits, absolutely.
that's,
So
Interesting move by McLaren's right
Oh,
outside.
yeah.
He's gonna make that's a bit deep. but-
no, got to get up early in the morning. Put a move around the outside at the
Yeah,
final
that's
turn
not
there.
Little bit, but I'm sure.
We've also seen Corey just close the gap by 7/10 in this last little bit. So he might see a potential if Floyd's got issues with tyre pressures or something. Might have a bit of a sneak up, maybe a last final few corners battles. Who knows? We might see this happen.
It would probably require some pretty dramatic stuff from Ben Floyd for Corey to catch up. He's definitely gaining, but I suspect he's running out of laps because as they cross the line for the next lap, we will be on the penultimate lap of the race. So we'll see what it is over the next sector. So he's 2.9 seconds behind right now. We'll see if he's gained much on his teammate. He's currently in the lead.
I think it had just been a bit of a lap mark. Blue flag, sorry.
I'm sure he's not happy about the. Sure, he's not happy about what happened earlier in the race. You know, cost him a potential victory with the contact on lap 1. But running P1 and P2, excellent job from Lloyd and Sweet.
Sweet was. I was talking to him earlier in the week, and he was talking about just how many laps it takes for him to get a proper setup for the car. He said it's incredibly difficult to get it set up right to get the space out of him. But it seems as though all that hard work is paying off in terms of what they're able to accomplish throughout the season so far.
He does always build his setups completely from scratch.
So we're on board here with Cameron Ross, who's all over the rear of McLaws, who's all over the rear of Bendai. Of course, Ross with a 10-second penalty, so he's not technically in this battle. But I'm sure, just for bragging rights, we'd like to get a move done on track and get ahead of these guys. Nobody making any obvious mistakes so far, so good team close racing so far.
That Audi's got a good run. I reckon we might see a move down here at turn 1. We'll see, does McLaws defend to the inside? He doesn't. The Audi is going to go to the inside. Brake deep, the Lambo brakes deeper, but the Lambo is going to go off track. The Audi is going to slide through the inside, pulls it up nicely, and it gets through. Now it's Audi on Audi action. This is the second last lap of the race. I believe we will have still one more lap after this.
Yeah, because it looks like Floyd is coming through 130R right now.
Yeah.
So there'll be enough time for him to cross the line and do one more lap.
So this is probably going to be the battle to watch right here. So we can see Relahi is still, Relahi is half a second behind Ferox. I wonder if he'll just, but Carl Johnson is 2.5 seconds behind that. So clearly that didn't, that battle didn't work out in Johnson's favor.
Doubles, I'm not sure if he did spin it again. Got out of the way of the leaders a while ago, about 19 meters off the track. So I think he actually had a bit of an incident, and that most likely got him down a bit. But we have, so they have started another lap here. They were actually in a good position there to communicate the slowdown and finish the race lap early as Bender.
Oh, yes. That's Bender.
It's definitely
occasionally we see, yeah, that's right. Maybe that's just him getting, he's just like, I ain't getting in the way of anyone. We just occasionally see a Bender just oh no, McLaws.
Wondering if there was some contact between him and Ross or Bender there. Oh. Miri is past us already, past Ferox on track already.
Oh, he's got the move done. He didn't need to do it because of the penalty, but he has. So that will be a P4 for Relahi in the race. Very smart of him to stay clear of Johnson as well. So
you know, as a race driver, that you do not want to win a race based on penalties. It's not how you build.
Oh, absolutely. So this is Corey Sweet there in P2. Back down to Cameron Ross, currently battling for P13. There's a whole these are all for position. Oh, that is very fast up on the back of the Bentley. Sorry, the Nissan, I think it is. No, that was a Bentley. Very nearly contact there, so that is a fast charging Ferrari behind. Bendai has lost the position to the other Audi. We're seeing Ben Floyd come through the final turns. Ben Floyd is going to win Suzuka for round 4. He put in an epic race. Comes across the line in position 1. Position 2 behind is his teammate Corey Sweet, who did have a 10-second penalty and yet still managed to finish only 2.3 seconds off the lead and a mile ahead of the rest of the field.
And a big shout out to Justin Cruz here. What a recovery drive from that first lap incident where he gets bumped off track and he went down to 18th or something, I think we said, or 19th.
Yeah,
And the
18th,
recovery
before
drive up to P3 for the last podium spot. Well done.
this. Well,
Incredible
P4,
recovery drive for
well,
the man who was P1 in the championship.
Paul Johnson crossing in P5, Thistlewaite crossing in P6, but we will lose a position or three.
Yeah,
Jamie
maybe even
Conboy,
more than that.
yeah, Conboy crossing the line in P7, but he'll move up to P6 with Chippy, provisional P8, and Stephen Pye, Alex Valentini, Ronald Robertson, and Andreas Wolf rounding out the top 12. A couple of penalties
You
there.
see a dive here. We are. We're going to see a final lap dive. Sorry, JP. That is the Ferrari doing final lap dive on the Audi. Nearly made contact. Ferrari did really good actually to pull it around there. Just sorry, the Nissan tried the dive on the Audi. That was. So the Ferrari actually got through. We missed the Lee getting through in the Ferrari on both Bendai and Karud. They come across Lee in 14th, Bendai in 15th, Karud in 16th with that attempted move on the final corner. Kept it clean though. McIntosh double pitted, well, technically double stinted, triple stinted, double pitted, so he could put on wet tires for the rain. He was the fastest man on track, and we know why. He was on wet tires. Unfortunately, it was not the right move in the end. He ends up P17. Sorry, that's P16 he ends up.
I think somebody quit out already because he was.
Oh, right, okay,
P7
so sure, yes, so it would likely be P17. So correct positions will be finalized after the race, and that'll be final man across the line. And that is it for round 4 of Suzuka with split blue and split red.
I mean, Split Red didn't really live up to the name of Phoenix. They had a bit of a rough start, but apart from that, and actually there was quite a few incidents. No, they maintained their name. I stand corrected. Sorry, it was enough carnage to demand the name Split Blood remain intact for now. But yeah, overall, great race. A couple of good recovery drives, and leaders having a little race on their own. As we just wait for the session to tick over, if these people would return to pits, that would make it quicker. Stephen Pye doing some donuts, not bad donuts. He those a solid 7 out of 10.
He's doing alright.
Donuts would be a bit more impressive if there was less steering angle in that, but you know, still solid.
Green light. Go, go, go.
As we finally get our results for Suzuka round 4 of the Sprint Series of Octane Online Racing, we have your winner in the Pro Class and overall Ben Floyd, second place Corey Sweet, and Justin Cruz in third place. Then in the Pro-Ams, we have Alex Valentini, Ronald Robertson, and Andreas Wolf coming in P3, and in the AMs we only had one, Ron Quillo. He qualified on pole in the AM class and he won in the AM class. And that is it for us tonight.
Fantastic evening of racing. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. It's been a great night. We'll see you next time. I believe we've got North America tomorrow.
And EU a little bit later.
EU a little bit later, that's right. So tune in for North America and EU, and we'll see you next week.
Next week, no sprint races, but there will be the start of the Endurance Series on Saturday at Imola.
Well, we will see you next week for the Endurance Series then.
Thank you, guys, and thank you. Don't forget to leave a like on the way out, and have a good evening all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, JP. Thank you, Sean. Have a great night, everybody.
Enjoy all. Good racing.
watch through